but definitely not the endorsement of former President Trump, withdrew under the realization that he had too many people who were committed to voting against him to win the vote. Very interesting goings on here because we had this discussion the other day about what Gates initiated and whether or not he owed the caucus an apology, he in particular, or whether this was finally someone standing up and saying what needed to be said and doing what needed to be done to send a shot across the bow of the swamp. Well, Matt Gaetz voted for Tom Emmer, in the conference where they were going to select the person to level up for a formal vote in the House. He voted for Tom Emmer. So for those who thought that Gaetz was fronting for Donald Trump, clearly not. Here's what Trump had to say about Tom Emmer. Totally out of touch with Republican voters. I have many wonderful friends wanting to be Speaker of the House. Some are truly great warriors. Rhino Tom Emmer, who I do not know well, is not one of them. He never respected the power of a Trump endorsement or the breadth and scope of MAGA. He fought me all the way and actually spent more time defending Ilhan Omar than he did me. He's totally out of touch with Republican voters, and so on and so forth. By the way, it wasn't only Trump. Jim Banks from Indiana, who's going to be the Republican nominee for the Senate seat that is being vacated.
He's been on our show a few times.
I supported, this is Jim Banks. I supported Mike Braun, because just to finish the thought, Indiana Mike Braun running for governor, vacating the seat, so Jim Banks. Okay. This is what Jim Banks said. I supported every Republican nominee to be Speaker of the House so far, but I will not vote for Tom Emmer on the House floor. The left flank of our conference, bloc Speaker designee Jim Jordan, then nominated the single most liberal member of our leadership to continue business as usual in Washington. They're holding our conference hostage and pushing Republicans to betray our voters and abandon our promises to the American people. I won't go along with it. That's Jim Banks. So that was the kind of opposition that Tom Emmer knew he was facing and knew he wasn't going to get home, so he withdrew and now level up Mike Johnson. But back to Gaetz. So it's clear, isn't it, that Gaetz was freelancing for his own self-interest this entire time. He wasn't fronting for Trump, and he wasn't making this sort of principled stand that he's been credited in some quarters as making. Because you turn around and you vote for a person that just that both Trump and Jim Banks, another pretty strong conservative in the caucus, described as such. Now, you say, well, Kevin McCarthy endorsed him over the weekend. Yeah, I know. He was part of Kevin McCarthy's leadership team. So it's not that particularly surprising.
But didn't they not like Emmers because he was pro-same, or he was okay with same-sex marriage?
You just heard. You just heard Jim Jordan, the single most liberal member of our leadership. Okay. To continue business as usual in Washington. It's not a single issue. It's categorical. And this is, by the way, something that people might want to consider. The fact that Tom Emmer was able to get the number of votes he did to be the speaker designee, however briefly, tells you something about how complicated that caucus was. Now, one thing I sort of thought, and watching this play out, and it may still will. I mean, if you can't get behind Mike Johnson, who John Gizzi wrote a good piece about this. He has very little baggage. He seems to be pretty well liked. He doesn't have too many arrows from inside the caucus aimed in his direction, it would seem. But again, it's not even necessarily about Mike Johnson. It's about the balance of power within the caucus and everybody's, not everybody's, but some people's personal interests at odds with one another. That's the issue. Or that's the complication. But one thing I thought, just watching this play out over the last several days, including the endorsement of Emmer by McCarthy, I almost think, this is just intuition, I don't know, but I almost think that McCarthy is orchestrating this. One person after another leveled up and is felled, level up and is felled. And, where do you come to at the end of the day? You go all the way back to McCarthy and say, well, look, he's the one guy who was able. I know it took 15 votes, but he was the one guy that able to get the necessary votes. Maybe he's the only guy that can get the necessary votes, particularly after what happened. If you have some contrition on behalf of the hateful eight, and you have Kevin McCarthy, and seeing him on Meet the Press on Sunday, still sticking around and being very public and leveraging the post he still occupies. It's just interesting. And I'll tell you what, if he is able to orchestrate this, if he was able to actually climb back from being deposed, then it would tell me that he should be speaker. If you're able to put all that back together.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also reach us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. Yeah, midday yesterday I saw, a headline, Republicans are so desperate McCarthy is floating himself as speaker with Jim Jordan as his lieutenant.
Well, we're right back to January. Right. So we'll see. I mean, Mike Johnson is a fine choice. Okay. And, if I was in the House Republican caucus, I'd be happy to vote for Mike Johnson. But again, is this really about Mike Johnson or the quality of whoever is leveled up next anymore? Or is it about a couple of warring factions that each have the ability to prevent the other from getting the person they want?
I mean, but is he going to be ousted a few months later? I mean, we're going to go through this every time Matt Gaetz has a hissy fit?
Well, we're going to see first.
That rule.
We're first going to. It's not really about the rule anymore. It's about the conduct, and we're going to see. We're going to see if Mike Johnson passes the test today, I suppose. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey everybody, Charlie Kirk here. Freedom Square is an unbelievable service designed to unite freedom-loving Americans. I know these guys. They love their country and they're doing an amazing job. You can log on now to create your free personalized dashboard. All of your favorite news sites, podcasters, all on one site, all at your fingertips. Sign up your business right now at freedomsquare.com and start connecting with freedom-loving Americans. Look, people want businesses they can support. You want to know the good guys from the bad guys. That's freedomsquare.com. Log on right now and create your personalized dashboard. Join us in the fight, so check it out. freedomsquare.com. Freedom lives here.
Let's welcome our new Freedom Square Business Network members. Lore TV, DS Arms Lake Barrington, Villa Park Office Equipment, and Every Black Life Matters. It's time to unite and vote with your dollars. Download the Freedom Square app and register your business right now at freedomsquare.com and start connecting with patriots. Freedom Square. Freedom lives here.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 5:38, that community meeting over migrants in Brighton Park was as spirited as advertised. That's 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
63 degrees, rain showers. At 5:31, Israeli military forces ramping up bombing in southern Gaza overnight, as some world leaders are calling for a halt in fighting to allow for aid to come to the besieged Palestinian enclave. The U.S. is warning Iran this morning about escalating the war.
Iran has supported Hamas and other groups that continue to carry out attacks on Israel. Iranian leaders have routinely threatened to wipe Israel off the map.
While addressing the UN Security Council Tuesday, Secretary of State Antony Blinken saying the U.S. would respond decisively. President Biden's name is not going to be appearing on the ballot for next year's New Hampshire primary. However, it's a move expected by some due to the Democrat primary trying to push the Granite State into giving up its first-in-the-nation primary status. Hurricane Otis strengthens from a tropical storm into a dangerous Category 5 storm in a matter of hours as it approaches Mexico's southern Pacific coast. Louisiana Representative Mike Johnson is the new Republican nominee for Speaker of the House.
Democracy is messy sometimes, but it is our system. This conference that you see, this House Republican majority, is united.
The member of the GOP leadership team became the party's latest nominee after 3 rounds of voting behind closed doors. Emotions running high over plans for a migrant base camp in Brighton Park.
Nobody asked us. Nobody told us. We have more than few thousand people who signed a signature here who said no. We said no.
Protesters have been gathering at the proposed site in an effort to try and prevent the base camp from being built. Chicago Police Commander Don Jerome says in spite of unarmed security on site and an 11 p.m. curfew, there may be issues.
I know this district well. We will increase our patrols. We will put additional manpower here. But I will be transparent with you. With more people here, there may be more problems.
Migrants will be free to come and go and have to sign in and out to go through metal detectors. Governor Pritzker is proposing a plan to create a new state agency to house all early childhood programs and funding. The new unified agency is designed to provide a more integrated and holistic system of services for young children and families. Illinois Democrats are joining with Republicans in looking to extend a pro-family private school tax credit. House Democrats introduced the bill yesterday that would extend the Invest in Kids program. Republican State Representative Ryan Spain criticized any other measure taking precedence during the veto session when the sunset of the Invest in Kids School Choice Scholarship Program approaches on December 31st.
We have kicked the can and kicked the can, and now it is time for action for the legislature. I certainly hope to step up and save this program.
The program offers a 75% income tax credit to individuals and businesses that contribute to qualified scholarship granting organizations. Former NFL player charged in connection with the death of his mother is set to appear in a Cook County courthouse today. Sergio Brown will be at the courthouse in Maywood. Bruins over the Blackhawks 3-0 at the UC. Bulls begin their regular season, with a game against OKC at the United Center tonight. And the Wolves are on the road tonight at Iowa. The news service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Lil's Dietary Shop, Blue Star Security, and by Hope Wins 7.
Have you been searching for a Napa Valley quality winery experience closer to home? A hidden gem awaits you at Bishop's Hill Winery in Joliet. Come experience fine wine, history, and castles. Stay to enjoy the Bishop's Hill Tasting Room to round out a perfect day. The Bishop's Hill Castle is easily accessible in nearby Joliet. This facility was home to a former brewery in the 1860s and is located on a hill with a commanding view where you'll enjoy sampling some of the highest rated wines in the world. Bishop's Hill wines are made from California grapes and sustainably grown. These wines have received Best in Class, Gold, and Double Gold awards at the San Francisco Chronicle North American Wine Competition. Now is your opportunity to stock up for the holidays and purchase national award-winning wine from Joliet-based Bishop's Hill Winery. If you want the Napa experience without the cost, look no further. Group discounts are available, and the Bishop's Hill Castle is also ready to host your next event for your family or business. Visit online at bishopshill.com. That's bishopshill.com.
Donald Trump Jr. is coming to Chicagoland on Friday, October 27th. McHenry County Go Pack is hosting this exclusive event in Addison. But space is extremely limited, and RSVPs will be accommodated on a first-come, first-served basis. To secure your tickets, go to countyconservatives.com. Meet President Trump's most trusted surrogate, his oldest son, and conservative activist and businessman. Learn the latest on President Trump's campaign, the deep state's plans to take him down, and how President Trump wants you to participate in the rules of engagement to take back the White House. This is an event that you don't want to miss. The first 300 ticket holders will also receive a copy of the best-selling book, Letters to Trump. So don't wait to get your tickets to see Donald Trump Jr. in Chicagoland on October 27th. Go to countyconservatives.com. That's countyconservatives.com.
Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave. Don't treat yourself like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at a retailer near you.
5:38, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And a wet start to the morning commute finds the Kennedy at 29 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson, 31 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. There's an accident on the left-hand shoulder between Cass and Clarendon Hills Road. Disabled vehicle, Bishop Ford inbound between 115th and 103rd. An accident moved out of your way on the Jane Addams I-90 near Rockford. That's close to State Street along the Adams Toll Road this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy and cooler, rain and drizzle. High 68. Low of 64 overnight. Cloudy, breezy, warm. Couple of showers. 73 tomorrow. Friday, couple of showers. High 74. Light rain and 63. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So that community meeting that we've been advertising since last week's street protest in Brighton Park over the Migrantville that is being stood up at 38th in California, expected to house up to 2,000 individuals.
Yep, that's the plan.
It's pretty big.
They're going to start at 500, then expand to 2,000. It includes housing amenities, Dan, 24-hour unarmed security, metal detector to go through, a van transportation if you need to go to the doctor, if your kids have to go to school.
Why
3
metal
meals
detector?
a day. Pardon?
Why is there a metal detector?
I don't know. That's what it says.
Is that very welcoming?
That's a good question.
Well, what are you assuming about the future residents of that space?
Well, the biggest point of contention with a lot of people is that there's 11 p.m. curfew, which means if people are out getting their drink on, or or even working late till midnight.
Yeah, what if you're working third shift?
Right, then you can't get back in, so then you're going to be out on the streets.
So I don't understand that. That's not very welcoming. Is this a prison camp, or is this housing that we're standing up to welcome people as equivalent to U.S. citizens? I mean, they're here. The city of Chicago has decided that they're legal and entitled to taxpayer-funded benefits. So they should be able to move around freely, shouldn't they? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. If other residents of Brighton Park or any other neighborhood in the city or any other community in the state or any other state in the nation, if they can move about freely without having metal detectors, having to pass through metal detectors to enter their home, even a temporary home, then why is that being instituted here?
Well, what are they saying
I'm
about the
perplexed.
migrants? Are they saying that they're, violent in nature? Because some,
It's racist and xenophobic.
Yes. Well, one person said it best at this meeting last night, which, by the way, it was standing room only, and dozens of people were outside trying to get in the meeting. Put it best, I don't want to give them my tax dollars.
All my people, my neighbors were being left out without. The money should come to us. We need it. All the resources they're getting, we need it.
Yeah, well, the money maybe should stay with you, so you're not so dependent on the city. How about that in the first place? But I digress. Yeah, I understand. There were definitely some proponents, though, of the 2,000-person tent city that's being set up, Brandonville. Here are a couple of those who spoke yesterday.
As a teacher, one of the demands that I would want is to see more, not just in terms of housing, the need to also say that students are going to need support in the classrooms.
What's happening here is not an either or. We can welcome our new neighbors and we can have a thriving, healthy community.
No question, as long as everybody gets wanded before they go home. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. As a teacher, one of my demands, I know, CTU, they're used to just demanding things. I get it. One of my demands is help in school. So not only the $30,000 that's spent per pupil in CPS at present, but then you're going to have additional personnel to assist people with, I guess, I would think ESL needs and any other needs.
It's just weird because people are speaking out of both sides of their mouth. Like they want to welcome them, but they don't.
We can welcome our new neighbors and we can have a thriving, healthy community.
Chicago's winter are brutal. Putting migrants in the tent in such conditions is nothing short of inhumane.
Yeah, well, I don't think that second person, that gentleman, was speaking as a proponent of the tent cities, but yeah, I understand. This is the problem. Reality is running into ideology, and it's twisting people in knots. That's what's happening. So they're trying to figure out how they can live their values without having to feel the impact of living with their values. It's complicated. Alderman Ramirez was there. Oh gosh, I'm so glad she recovered from that attack. She was there, and she offered this sort of curious distinction. It's a distinction without a particular importance, but nonetheless, this was her big play.
I want to make clear that this lot is different from Amundsen Park. That park is owned by the city, and this lot is privately owned.
So? What? Okay.
What?
So the actual land is not public land. It's not a public structure. But what are you trying to say? They're not receiving taxpayer-funded benefits? Of course they are. Who's paying for all this? And by the way, since you brought it up, I'd like to know who does own the land and what the terms of the lease agreement are, because the city's obviously picking up the tab on that too.
Yeah, they said it's
So-
10 acres, which is a lot of land.
So what? This is private. It's not a park district. So what? I think you're missing the forest for the twigs, Alderhuman.
Well,
and by the way, her defense, her ongoing defense that that she was not told about this. This is what she said. I was not aware that the city trucks had been working on the lot until after the fact. I did not have aldermanic prerogative in this decision. I was not asked or given a vote. Fine. So what are you doing about it now?
It sounds like she can't do anything about it. I mean, that's the way she made it sound last night.
I was not aware that the city trucks had been working on the lot after the fact.
People knew they were working.
I did not have aldermanic prerogative in this decision. I was not asked or given a vote.
Don't aldermen wield great power in this city?
Well,
without handing out, well, certain like liquor licenses and things like that. I mean,
yeah, on some things yes, on some things less so. It's a feudal system. You have the king and you have feudal lords, 50 feudal lords, but that's not enough. This like I'm a victim too, or I'm blindsided just like you. You're the alderhuman. So what are you doing about it now? For example, since there are here's something you could do.
Okay.
Since there are other similarly situated alderhumans representing other similarly situated wards when it comes to this, like all 50 of them that have been tasked to find at least a 2-acre plot to stand up more BLM Brandonvilles, maybe you put together a coalition of those who do not support bringing 2,000 people into the community willy-nilly and expending all this public dough to provide for that. Maybe you put together a group and you say, well, here's the deal, BLM Brandon. We're not doing that. And if you try to ram it down our throats, then, we can be particularly obstreperous on all sorts of other things that will come before the city council in the coming days and weeks and months and years. I mean, you certainly, maybe she can't stop it now as one alderhuman, but you have a lot of other alderhumans who are in the same position, and maybe somebody should be, if they really are serious about it, and maybe that's the real rub. It's not really serious about it. It's the statement made behind a podium at a raucous community meeting. Don't blame her. She did what she could. She's just as in the dark as we are. Well, then maybe you need a new alderhuman if somebody's just as in the dark as you, because that's her job. It's not your job. You elected her to do that job. Is she doing that job? Is she thinking creatively about ways to respond to being left in the dark if you take her at her word? That's not what that's what I'm not hearing from her. And many others. This is just an example we're talking about now that highlights the point. Corey in Woodlawn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, guys. Freeman's free to choose theories that are created to the grave, that really needs to be reworked because of this migrant situation. And also, these aldermen, they are very weird. They control the power of the purse, but they act like they have no power of the purse. Shut down Brandon Johnson's money spigot, and this all will come to an end. That's all they have to do. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the call, Corey. I still wanted Corey to run for mayor of Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe next time. Sam in Brighton Park.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Just letting you know, I was at the meeting last night, and they packed half the room with the CTU people, and they shut the door on the residents. So just like you said last week, this whole thing was meaningless.
Thanks for the call,
I know
Sam.
a bus company that
Appreciate
took a
it.
bunch of the CTU people there yesterday to the meeting.
Well, you know CTU was
they
there
work.
when you started hearing the chant "Si se puede" during the meeting. Yeah, it's standard.
Why are
issue.
they so foaming at the mouth to have these tent cities erected? CTU, I don't understand this one.
What don't you understand? You have no idea why the CTU would support this.
Well, just help me out. I'm having a bad week. I don't. I'm being honest. I mean, was it because they want to fill the classroom? We already have 1,400 migrant children that are now taking the places of kids who left during COVID lockdowns and people that fled the city and the state because it's so poorly governed.
Why do these same why does CTU and the same coalition forces of the left, why do they support Sanctuary City and Sanctuary State in the first place? Why do they not feel compelled to secure our borders? I mean, why essentially do they promote open borders? What's their disposition? What's
they're
their
socialists.
Well, what do they want?
To control more people? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to go great replacement theory. It's state dependence. If you have somebody dependent, you have a loyal voter. They want state dependence. They want more mascots because that's how they treat migrants and other coalition partners, the Vanguard, the Leninist Vanguard class. That's how they treat them, as your mascots. I want more of them.
Okay, that makes
And
sense.
and then they get to virtue signal about it. They get to call anybody who opposes this, even though the room is full of migrants, Asian migrants, Asian American immigrants, and Latino immigrants. I mean, that room was full of them. But if anybody opposes this, you're a xenophobe, you're a racist, you're a MAGA nationalist, and so on and so forth. So it's a great twofer. They get to, they believe, add to their ranks by adding to state dependence, thus the need for an ever increasing amount of government services for all people, migrants and citizens alike. And you get to demonize the other side in the process when anybody tries to bring common sense to this and make important distinctions and discuss the prioritization of scarce resources, as Corey was mentioning, and so forth. Yeah. And then the people that went along, you know, what some may call useful idiots, the people that have gone along with this ideology and se puede themselves into this position, well, now, as I said, they're a bit twisted up. It was fun when it was just all protesting and ranting against honkies, and now it's in my backyard, and it's a lot less fun. Eduardo, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, good morning. I used to live over there in 39th in California in the 90s, and they have a gang problem over there. I mean, 26 and Cal is not too far away. Maybe they should have gone over there, or maybe even on top of those railroad tracks on 37 in California.
Okay, thanks for the call, Eduardo. I'd like to house the city council at 26th in California. Saves time.
Yeah.
George in Naperville.
Yeah, the city needs to host mixers with the migrants and residents and release some of this content with dining, dancing, and dreaming.
Yeah.
That's great. Dining, dancing, and dreaming. Yeah, mixers. That would actually, you know what, we should have a big welcoming party, you know, like a big block party.
I absolutely. There's nothing here that a couple of ice cream socials can't fix.
Movie night. You know, there's a lot of stuff we could do. But I like that Brandonville. When did you come up with that one? That's
Well,
good.
I mean, it's just, you know, we had Romvilles on Lower Wacker, Brandonvilles. Come up with something better than that. That's become a bit prosaic. Lightfootsvilles.
No, we didn't have
Hamlets,
Lightfootsvilles. I don't remember.
Lorryvilles or something. I mean, it's been the same. It's just the same problem. It's just sort of different iterations of the same problem because you have the same type of policymakers producing or pushing the same policies that produce the same problems. I mean, it's just pretty linear.
I like Brandonville, though.
Nick in Northwest Side.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everybody. I've been saying for decades that south of our border and south of Europe, it's basically the same problem as far as this migration. Some of these governments are either incompetent or corrupt or somehow just not able to get a handle on things. They got to let the men know if you make 4 or 5 babies and you can't afford to take care of them, don't assume that everything's going to be okay by just going north to either America or to Europe, because eventually, like what's happening here, even people who are black or brown and are saying about these migrants coming in that, look, what about us? We've been told we can't get this fixed here or that, and you're fixing everything up for them, and it's creating a problem all around. And now in about another week, we're going to have very cold weather at night around Halloween. So then it's going to be an emergency. We got to keep them warm. I mean, it's just always getting out of control and never gets fixed. And I thank you.
Thanks for the call. Well, we'll build some tent cities in, let's see, where can we go that's warm?
Not southern Illinois.
Where should we go that's warm? Oh, Venezuela.
Yeah.
That's warm there. Mexico, it's warm. Latin America.
Got a text message. Dan and Amy, Pastor Corey Brooks is building the perfect facility for the city to take over for immigrants.
I don't think that's Corey Brooks's plan.
No, it's not his plan.
Julie Gamez, 60 years old, 16-year resident, Brighton Park. We need to have security here, and there is none. I'm out at 4 in the morning, and I don't see a single patrol car. There have been robberies, there have been beatings, shootings. I'm an immigrant, and I know that we need to help them, but there has to be another place for them to go. Let's fix our problems first. And, of course, the proper response to that sentiment is racist and xenophobe.
Yeah.
Tony Roselle.
You know, speaking of 26th in California, there are several vacant divisions there that hold 800 to 1,000 people.
All right, so maybe the aldermen and their families, you thinking? Thanks for the call, Tony. Extended families. I hope somebody does ask. Metal detectors and curfews. These are adults. What gives? What are you trying to tell us about the migrants?
Putting single men with families, and it's not going to be a good situation. I mean, they said they're going to try to have a family section, and then.
Excuse me.
Yes,
these
sir.
are these are magical people, just like trannies. They're magical people. They can do no wrong. They only offer benefits. You see. So I don't understand all this talk about security and so on and so forth.
I ran into a police officer yesterday from the 19th. He's just like, this is exhausting. I don't want to come to work. I mean, we can't. It's sick. People are sick. They've had different diseases, like lice or scabies, flu.
Yeah.
It's like, enough. Can you imagine going to work every day in your space? Like if we came into the station today and we had 75 people living here, day after day after day, month after month.
I'd send them to Oak Park. Dave in Wakanda, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, I got a great place for them. It's got a lakefront view, a pool, a basketball court. Isn't Michael Jordan's former palatial estate still available?
It is, and and Highland Park or Lake, and Highland Park or Lake County could pick that up for a song, relative to the original asking price. I think. Thanks for the call, Dave. And I think I think it's just so garish with the 23s everywhere. I think a lot of the migrants would feel uncomfortable there.
Would it be a microaggression?
It might be. I don't know if they would feel. But no, I like it. I mean, again, for these well-off communities, the North Shore is a good place to start. Western suburbs too. Why does Governor Spalding have to dangle dollars in front of you? These are you're welcoming people. You are the leading lights of the left. You are proponents of all the policies that you see being enacted and exacted in the city. Where's the volunteer spirit that we expect from our betters on the North Shore and the Western Burbs? Still waiting. Coming up at 6:06, the fate of the tax credit scholarship program, the final act, 6:06.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Residents blast a controversial migrant base camp in Brighton Park. An ex-NFL player charged in the death of his mother due in a Maywood courtroom today. The Blackhawks get blanked by the Bruins. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Republicans have yet another new nominee for House Speaker. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Democracy is messy sometimes, but it is our system.
Congressman Mike Johnson insists that now Republicans are united around him, and there could be a vote today on the House floor. Johnson's the fourth GOP nominee overall, and as Fox's Kevin Corke reports, he was the second one yesterday alone.
The vote for Johnson came on a day that saw the House GOP elect Minnesota's Tom Emmer as Speaker nominee, only for him to drop out hours later amid stiff resistance from the right flank of the conference and a major rebuke from former President Donald Trump.
Yeah, the former president wrote on Truth Social he would not support Emmer, calling him a globalist rhino, which is short for Republican in name only. Israel's taken out some militants in the West Bank while also coming under attack again from Lebanon as the airstrikes continue in Gaza, 19 days after the Hamas terror attack.
Many of these strikes trying to take out the infrastructure that could be used to target Israeli soldiers when they ultimately enter the Gaza Strip.
Fox's Trey Yingst on the border.
The death toll inside the Strip is rapidly rising. Save the Children says more than 2,000 children have been killed since this conflict erupted.
Now, the U.S. says pauses in fighting must be considered to get more aid to civilians caught in the crossfire.
President Biden is not satisfied with the pace of medicine, water, and food making it to fleeing Palestinians in Gaza. Not fast enough, the president said, leaving a reception in the East Room.
Fox's Jared Halpern. Tourists in the Acapulco area of Mexico in shelters as Hurricane Otis hits. It came ashore as a Category 5 monster. It's weakened a bit now with 130-mile-an-hour winds. In the baseball playoffs,
the Arizona Diamondbacks are headed to the World Series. The Diamondbacks have won the National League pennant.
They beat the Phillies in Philadelphia on TBS 4-2 in a Game 7. Arizona will play the Texas Rangers in the World Series Game 1 Friday night. America's listening to Fox News.
63 degrees, rain showers, 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Yesterday, Chicago got one more last day of summer-like weather, 83 degrees, tying a record high for that date, set back in 1963. Emotions are high over plans for a migrant base camp in Brighton Park.
Nobody asked us. Nobody told us. We have more than few thousand people who signed a signature here who said no. We said no.
Hundreds showed up last night for a community meeting to hash out the proposed temporary shelter at 38th and California. Protesters have been gathering at the proposed site. Migrants, according to reports, would be free to come and go, but have an 11 p.m. curfew. Family of a Skokie woman killed in a wrong-way crash along I-55 last year in Sangamon County is taking legal action. Lauren Wegner's father filed a wrongful death suit against the village of Divernon and a local sheriff's office. Authorities say Shane Woods was drunk when he drove away from a traffic stop in November of 2022 in Divernon. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul is part of a coalition of more than 30 state attorneys general suing the company that owns and operates Facebook and Instagram.
Meta has been allowed to addict our children to a product that interferes with their education, their sleep, and ultimately their mental and physical health.
In Springfield, Illinois, Democrats are joining with Republicans and looking to extend a pro-family private school tax credit. The Invest in Kids program would be extended by another 5 years. Governor J.B. Pritzker was asked yesterday about the school choice program and says he's focused on public school funding, but he'd sign an extension.
Members of the General Assembly have been considering this for a few years now. I think it is going to reach some culmination either in the veto session or in the coming spring session, and I look forward to hearing what the General Assembly would like to do.
The program offers a 75% income tax credit to individuals and businesses that contribute to qualified scholarship granting organizations. Former NFL player charged in connection with the death of his mother is set to appear in court today. Sergio Brown is set to appear in court tied to the death of 73-year-old Myrtle Simmons Brown, who'll be at the Cook County Courthouse in Maywood. Well, the Cubs are apparently in the market for a new assistant general manager. Craig Breslow is set to become Boston's new head of baseball operations. Bruins beat the Blackhawks 3-0 at the United Center. Bulls take on OKC tonight. The news, a service of MyPillow and the 6-pack bath towel sets. For a limited time, get 50% savings with promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by St. John's Lutheran School in Lombard, Tom Mirabali, independent insurance agent with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, and by OverheadDoorChicago.com.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. In recent years, almost all American universities have shut down right-leaning speakers and canceled unpopular speech. The justification was that words somehow constituted violence, and speech was making college community members feel unsafe. Please, In a dark bit of irony, many of those who claimed that discussion of conservative ideas made them feel unsafe are celebrating the massacre of Jews. On campuses like Harvard, masked pro-Hamas protesters have literally intimidated and harassed Jewish students. Now that's behavior that could legitimately make someone feel unsafe. Yet Harvard's leadership does nothing. They lied when they claimed that conservative speech was banned for safety reasons. The left banned speech in our universities because they have a totalitarian impulse and want to shut down the marketplace of ideas. Safety was an excuse. It was all about gaining, holding, and now abusing power.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu. Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at gawon'twait.com. That's gawon'twait.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Hi, my name is Peg. I'm a wife, mother, and grandmother. Family is so important to me, and I want to stay healthy so that I can continue to do the things that I enjoy doing with all of them. I would recommend Balance of Nature. It's so easy to do every day. I feel great, and who doesn't want to feel great?
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. A wet start to the morning commute means slow traffic on the Edens, 26. Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy at 36 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange and climbing. Ike outbound, accident being cleared out of your way at Church. It's 28 outbound to 390 this morning. Dan Ryan inbound, jamming up inbound in the express between 43rd and the Stevenson Expressway. 19 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Accident on the southwest side, Columbus and 86th, and an accident in Niles, Toohey and Caldwell. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Cloudy day today, periods of rain and drizzle this morning, a shower for the afternoon, the high 68, a shower in spots tonight, low 64, rain tomorrow, the high 73, showers Friday, the high at 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
64 degrees, light rain at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by CharlesEquipment.com, keeping you powered up no matter what the conditions. CharlesEquipment.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, veto session. Speaking of more room at 26th and Cal, the General Assembly and their extended families Not a bad place for them as well. Certainly at the Chicago caucus. So you throw them in with the alderhumans. Good place to stay. Create more space in the community for migrants. So the General Assembly in session, veto, is to dither around and posture and so forth, which they do, in regular session as well, but that's sort of a year-end dithering before the holidays set in. Catch up with old friends. And it's the last gasp for the one positive program that has been created by the state of Illinois, maybe in my lifetime. I honestly, I can't think of something else where I say, well, it's great that we have that agency, that program. This was, important legislation to improve the quality of life and empower people to live their lives independently. Honestly, the Tax Credit Scholarship Program is about the only thing that comes to mind. And, I've been in the political arena in Illinois since 94. So it's been a bit. But the Tax Credit Scholarship Program, there's this watered-down, bull-jive version that's was filed by a couple of Democrats that will probably die peacefully. No attention paid. No ruckus kicked up. We finally got around to profiling one of the scholarship families. There's 9,500 of them. There's another 25, 30,000 on the waiting list. You'd think people could find them if they were interested. No, now it's time to check the box. I mean, Craig Wall's okay, but a little late in the game. I suppose better late than never. Craig Wall interviewing Patricia Hale and her son Ian. He's a freshman at Leo. She wants him to stay at Leo. Without the tax credit scholarship that he is currently enjoying, it's going to be difficult.
Kimberly White and her 15-year-old son Ian White Holmes have more on their minds these days than his schooling. They're worried about the future of the Invest in Kids Act. Ian, who's a freshman at Leo Catholic High School, benefits from a scholarship program that gives tax credits to donors, providing a scholarship that covers about 90% of Ian's tuition.
Almost 6 years ago, Ian's father passed away, and by him passing away, we really had no financial support. So with the scholarships, it's helping us get through those humps and those lumps that we go through.
If lawmakers do not extend the program, it could eliminate the financial help that more than 9,600 low-income students are currently getting.
So I juxtapose names. So Ian, Patricia White and her son Ian. It's going to shock you to learn that Patricia and her son Ian are black. Why would this be shocking to you? Because you look to the teachers' unions in Chicago and Illinois as the repositories of truth, and their position on the tax credit scholarship program and why it should be killed is because it just is a scholarship program for honkies. That's what they said. I didn't use the word honkies, but that's what they said. It's just a scholarship program for whites. Well, in fact, 100% of the scholarships are currently awarded to families with demonstrated financial need, and more than half of the scholarship recipients are students of color. But I know that, that little factoid doesn't matter because we'll just go with the spin of the teachers' unions and the political power structure that finances them and vice versa. Right? We'll just go with that.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
I mean, do you care if this goes or stays? I really don't know. I really don't know if people do or not. I say that because a lot of the putative proponents of the scholarship program, including people that I respect and have worked with before, they don't really seem to care that much. Even those who have invested a lot of money.
Even donors? They don't. They're
Yes.
losing steam. Why?
I mean, do you see I mean, do you see community meetings like you saw at Kelly High School in Brighton Park last night anywhere going on? Do you see people outside of the offices of state legislators, of the governor? Or are you seeing advertising campaigns? What are you seeing that would show any evidence of any concern, any interest in this? I mean, it's just general apathy. Yeah, I like it. It'd be nice if it stays. It would help those kids. But if it goes, it goes. No big deal.
Well, what about the kids? What about the 9,500 kids, which you said most are from low-income homes? Half of them are minorities. What's going to happen to them? Do they have to go back to their crappy public school?
Well, I mean, obviously, they don't have to do anything, but the question is how many families are going to be able to put together the resources to continue to send them to the schools they're at now, or how many families are going to be lucky enough to arrange some kind of payment option or scholarship deal with the individual schools. And nobody knows the answer to that. I don't know. Some will and some won't. I suspect, right? Isn't that obvious? But, I mean, the question is, does anybody care? On this issue, again, even with the proponents, I feel like we're screaming into the abyss on this show. I feel like I've been doing that publicly and privately. I really do. I mean, there are others. There are folks that founded Empower Illinois, like Miles Mendoza, and there are school choice advocates that are aggressive and are committed and see this as the tragedy it is, the scholarship program going away. But there are a whole host of others, the institutional players, that seem positively indifferent. And yet you're going to talk about turning around Chicago and extending opportunity. And this is the one program.
The one positive thing that you had in your life for the state of Illinois.
In certainly my adult life. I mean, but frankly, going back pre my entrance into politics, I mean, that was the big Jim Thompson era. And then you had, Kerner went to prison, and going back to Ogilvy, who instituted the income tax. I mean, one positive program in everybody's lifetime who was born after 1968, I think. And it's just, I can't say I'm shocked. I'm just exasperated over the indifference. All the people, I'm for the downtrodden. I'm for giving people who need a hand up in terms of opportunity, not opportunity because I want them to be independent. I want these people that don't have the resources to access the opportunities I do to access those opportunities as well, because there's a lot of talent out there that goes undeveloped because they're put into these totalitarian re-education camps that are indifferent to their ability to read and do math. I'm talking about CPS, for example, but not limited to CPS.
I sent you Jan Schakowsky's tweet. She wrote, as a former elementary school teacher, I'm a strong supporter of our nation's public schools, blah, blah, blah. It's past time for the Illinois Invest in Kids program to finally sunset. Why is she getting involved? I mean, it's not her.
As a former educator, I'm against education.
Right, exactly.
Josh Hale is that's the name I was conflating with Patricia White and her son Ian. Josh Hale is the head of the Big Shoulders Fund. They raise I've been to that fundraiser. They raise big money. I mean, these fundraisers, the big fundraiser they do is that's a 7-figure, probably mid 7-figure raise, and they give out a lot of scholarships. So they do a lot of good work. And they administer some of the scholarships that are provided through the tax credit scholarship program. But here's Josh Hale.
Josh Hale is president of the Big Shoulders Fund, which helps administer some of the scholarships.
There are also another 26,000 children on the waiting list. So it shows the interest in this. It's not the solution. It is part of a solution to a more equitable educational landscape in the state of Illinois.
That's a fine rhetorical position to take. What has Big Shoulders done politically? I know this is I'm blaspheming right now. That's okay. I can take the heat. Big Shoulders, as I said, done a lot of great things. A lot of great people support it. Provide a lot of scholarships that have gotten a lot of kids educated. But if you want to scale that, like the tax credit scholarship program would, then you have to be politically savvy and courageous. And political savvy and courage are in short supply, including within the pro-scholarship movement, I'm sorry to say. There'll be people who recoil at that, and we've done more than you've done, Dan, and so on and so forth. Yeah, okay. I'm just describing the landscape. And I'm describing the landscape in which a tax credit scholarship program that you just described, 9,600 families, 25 to 30,000 people on the waiting list. If you got more donations and more marketing for the program, that waiting list, especially with what's happening in schools all over the state, not just in Chicago, that would grow by leaps and bounds. It would grow exponentially, particularly over the next 5 to 10 years. How do we know this? Because we've seen it in other states. This isn't some abstraction. This isn't a guess. The scholarship program in the state of Florida, which is the biggest in the nation, I mean, it's in the neighborhood of $700 million in scholarship funds that are distributed. And Florida's public school, private school infrastructure, particularly Catholic school infrastructure, is nothing compared to Chicagoland's. So what it would mean for the Catholic school system, too. But again, Big Shoulders, Catholic schools, scholarships, where have they been? Working behind the scenes. Genuflecting before the teachers' union-owned Marxist leadership of the General Assembly. Please. Craig Wall has profiled more families publicly than Big Shoulders or Empower Illinois, as far as I can tell. So, with great position comes great responsibility. You're the organizations that are writing point. So, how do you explain what happened? We did the best we could. Did you? Or did you do the best you could without ruffling any feathers that you think you may need down the road? We have to maintain relationships with street-level hustlers like Chris Welch, grifters, professional grifters, and most of the rest of his caucus. And, we want Don Harmon to still invite us to play golf at Oak Park Country Club. And we don't want there to be any uncomfortable moments at the St. Ignatius reunions or fundraisers. So people can criticize me all they want. There were opportunities, and I won't go into the details, but I know because I was part of it. There were opportunities to take a more aggressive posture. There were opportunities to profile families on the airwaves in Chicago. To have them tell their stories, to put pressure on those teachers' union toadies in the General Assembly, because public pressure is what's required. They chose the path of being beaten up in a back alley, begging for their crumbs, just like Republicans normally do, which is why they're the super minority party. And which is why, in this instance, the tax credit scholarship program is going away. Angelo in Racine, Wisconsin.
Hey, how you doing? I heard that lady talking about the 11-year-old who lost his dad and then thus losing financing for college or whatever. Was the father, putting money away for the kid? Did he have a 403B? What was he doing? Or is she just saying that because the program's available and they can get on it?
Well, I mean,
you got a dad who's working doesn't mean that he's a good dad. And I'm not saying that this father that died as it was a bad father. I'm just saying, what's the loss? Was he really actively putting money away for this kid, and now that's gone?
Yeah, here's Angelo. Who cares? Who cares?
Well, I do because
no, I don't. And let me tell you why I don't, and then you can tell me why you do. Because I don't know the circumstances of the father of the family. She said he died, and they didn't have resources. So he's a 15-year-old freshman at Leo, and comes across very well in that interview. Seems like a sharp young man. But regardless, he's got an opportunity to get a quality education at Leo. That's the point. The point of this is the opportunities that you provide regardless of circumstances. And if, there's been an absent dad or a family that made a bad decision, well, I don't want that visited upon the kid if we can otherwise avoid it. So that's the point of it. Who cares? I don't care what the dad did or didn't do. Who cares? Who cares?
I do.
Why?
It's just like when you hear about somebody being killed in a neighborhood, and everybody comes out and says, "Oh my God, he was going home to bake cookies and read the Bible with Grandma when he got shot."
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. I mean, this is honestly. What does that have to do with Ian, the 15-year-old freshman at Leo? Do you want him to get the best possible education or not? I do. I don't care what his dad did or didn't do. And I have no idea. This is about the children. And she obviously had demonstrated the need for the scholarship, regardless of how her family finances got to the place that she qualified for the scholarship, like every other scholarship recipient. Can we maintain focus on what we're trying to accomplish here? Greg and Schaumburg.
Hey, Dan and Amy. Before I get to this creative solution, I want to just share this quick story. About 3 months ago, for my 1972 class in high school, one of our classmates who started with us in freshman and sophomore year had to drop out after sophomore year because of exactly what you're talking about, a problem in their family financial. And thus the class got together with the principal of the school and presented him an honorary diploma. And as we talked this thing through, we thought, wow, no one knew this was going on in those days. If anybody had known it, tuition in those days was pretty cheap. We could have probably put that together. So here's a creative suggestion for this situation. Let's get these kids together and put a web page together and specifically address it to Schakowsky with videos of each of them saying, "Thank you, Jan. My career or my life is in sunset," and do kind of like the Rush Limbaugh technique of demonstrating absurd by being absurd. And then hopefully what will happen, the national media will pick up on it. There will be a change of heart within the legislators, and everybody will come out with a program and happily ever after, but the Democrats will look really crazy.
Thanks for the call, Greg. I'd love to do it. I mean, I proposed something not dissimilar to that, but the keepers of the lists of scholarship recipients don't want to play. So you have to have people volunteer, force themselves into the public arena or get connected, like the White family got connected to Craig Wall at ABC7 somehow. One-offs. Because there's no coordinated effort to do exactly what you said.
Well, they did have it was two, but it seems like eons ago when St. Sabine, they had a big rally and they had people up from Leo High School and other high schools and other kids that benefited from this scholarship program.
Yeah, big deal.
But that was
another one-off. Dawn in Naperville.
Hi, good morning. In 2019, the state of Illinois, there was only about 14% of African American students who could read at grade level in 8th grade. So per Jan's comment, the data doesn't match. So the point being is what kind of benefit of education are children receiving like this example? It doesn't sound like they're receiving a free and appropriate education, and that's why they're looking for other resources that they don't happen to fit in your box. And that is the problem. And I'm sure that there's a large percentage of the children receiving that benefit who happen to have a disability, a learning disability, maybe like dyslexia, that our school system won't even mention. As a matter of fact, we don't even deal with it until somebody goes to a federal penitentiary. So
Huh.
that is the problem. Is that somebody like her, and it's the kids who are also on reduced lunch that get the last end of the stick. That is
Right, which is 85% of the student population in CPS.
Get free lunch.
Right.
I mean, so it's
So
just
they just-
it's criminal.
care.
These are all these. I get it. Thanks for the call, Don. These
My kids
school
ever had to
systems.
pay for lunch.
These school systems are criminal enterprises, and we don't care when we got 9,500 out and 25,000, 30,000 on the waiting list. That's all right. I don't know. Coming up at 6:36, we'll turn our attention to a public spat between the Israelis and the Secretary General of the UN. That's at 6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike.
Showers have arrived, 63 degrees. At 6:31, Israeli military forces ramped up bombing overnight in southern Gaza. Meantime, the U.S. and Russia are leading international calls for a short pause in the fighting. Louisiana Representative Mike Johnson, the latest Republican nominee for Speaker of the House, happening hours after Majority Whip Tom Emmer became the latest House Republican to bow out of the Speaker's race. Johnson promises to change things and how business is done on Capitol Hill.
I'm honored to have the support of my colleagues, and what they understand about this is servant leadership. We're going to serve the people of this country. We're going to restore their faith in this Congress, this institution of government. America is the last best hope of man on the earth. Abraham Lincoln said it. Ronald Reagan used to remind us all the time, and we're here to remind you of that again.
Johnson needs 217 of the 221 GOP votes to become Speaker. Hurricane Otis has made landfall near Acapulco in Mexico, a Category 5 storm. A manhunt is over for the suspect accused of shooting and injuring 2 Nashville area police officers. Police say John Drake Jr. stole a vehicle at gunpoint last night, crashed it, hid in a shed behind a home where a gunshot was later heard. Drake Jr. is the estranged son of Metro Nashville Police Chief John Drake. A man is in custody after a police officer was shot during a traffic stop in Springfield overnight. Springfield police this morning tell us they and other departments responded to reports of an officer shot. Illinois State Police say the officer was conducting a traffic stop and clarified that it was an Illinois State Police trooper who interacted with the suspect, 37-year-old Cristobal Santana of Chicago, believed to be wanted in connection with a homicide that occurred recently here in Chicago. Chicago police tell reporters that Santana has not been formally charged in connection with that homicide at this time. Emotions running high last night over plans for a migrant base camp in Brighton Park.
Nobody asked us. Nobody told us. We have more than few thousand people who signed a signature here who said no. We said no.
Many people spoke out against the plan at Kelly High School. Some expressed desire to provide some support for asylum seekers. Illinois Democrats are joining with Republicans and looking to extend a pro-family private school tax credit called Invest in Kids. You've been talking about it with Dan and Amy here on AM 560. Parent Tracy Smith from Chicago brought her twin children to the Capitol in Springfield on Tuesday in order to urge others to bring the measure forward and extend it.
We give tax credits to movies. Why can't we give tax credits to kids? We have millions of dollars that's being funded to house and home people. Why can't we not keep the doors of education open?
The program offers a 75% income tax credit to individuals and businesses that contribute to qualified scholarship granting organizations. Another Chicago suburb would like to be home to the Bears. The town of Country Club Hills released a statement overnight saying they would also like to be considered for a new stadium site. Arlington Heights, Waukegan, and Naperville are among other suburbs the Bears have had proposals given to. The Bears already own a site in Arlington Heights. Bruins blanked the Blackhawks at the UC 3-0. Bulls begin the regular NBA season tonight with a game against OKC. The news, a service of Advanced Design Studio. Thinking of a home renovation but aren't sure where to begin? Check out Common Sense Remodeling with Advanced Design Studio at advanceddesignstudio.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Automated Systems Incorporated, HealthInsuranceMentors.com, and by Illinois Concealed Carry Training.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Homeowners experiencing low water pressure, rusty yellow water, little to no hot water, or pressure so low that showering is difficult?
Honey, don't flush. I'm in the shower.
These are all symptoms of clogged and corroded galvanized water pipes that are filled with gunk older than you. You should see it. It's disgusting. You drink it, brush your teeth with it, and bathe in it. Yuck. For your family's sake, repipe your home with quality PEX or copper pipes from All Affordable Plumbing. We're your local family-owned and operated repiping expert. We can repipe your home in 1 to 3 days with minimal disturbance, and we include a lifetime guarantee. And for a limited time, we're offering 12-month no-interest, no-payment financing and a free water heater. So if you have low water pressure, call for a free in-home estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. That's 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. If you have low water pressure, a copper repipe will get you flowing again. Call for a free estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE. That's 800-NEW-PIPE.
I'm Dave Nissen, CEO of PKF Mueller. As a CPA firm, we have been serving our business clients since 1968 by providing audit, accounting, tax, advisory, and consulting services. We as trusted advisors go beyond what our clients hired us to do by thinking outside the box to understand their operations and industry. We want to discover ways to increase their net income and cash flow by reducing costs or increasing efficiencies. To this end, PKF Mueller provides several client value-added services through strategic relationships. Our partners are specialists and serve the same type of clients that we do and add value by reducing our clients' overall electric and gas costs, discovering inaccuracies and overcharges on utility bills, assisting in financing of real estate, and helping to reduce uncollectible accounts and bad debt expenses. To learn more about our value-added service providers and how we can assist, call me directly at 630-524-5274 or dnissen@pkfmueller.com.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
6:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Boost Infinite. If you need to get the latest iPhone, stop a moment and check the amazing wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say, Boost Infinite, pound 250, Boost Infinite. Kennedy, already an hour this morning, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. On the inbound side, the outbound Kennedy is about 30 minutes back out to the big airport this morning. Checking the Ike, right now 54 in from 390 into the old post office. An earlier accident out of your way on the Stevenson. That accident was between the Veterans Memorial Toll and the Tri-State. Right now, 64 minutes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan locals are jammed between 43rd and 18th. It's a 28-minute ride in from 95th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy and cooler today. Rain and drizzle throughout the morning. And a high of 68. Currently 64. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're talking about the K-12 scholarship program in Illinois that is set to be killed once and for all. And there's a couple more things to say about it.
Okay. Is it going to happen this week? Do you think that they'll actually put it to rest?
That's the veto session this week and next, and then that's it.
I'm sorry, Dan.
So Pritzker weighed in on this again. You know, he's been playing Pontius Pilate. He does the General Assembly has to send me something, and I'm sort of
out of it.
I'm Switzerland on this, which is if he wanted it to come to his desk, it would come to his desk, just so we understand that, okay? Here's what he said, his most current bit of spin.
Deserves our predominant attention, and that we need to make sure that we're continuing to fund public education properly. And, you know, there are people who want to take our eye off that ball, and that's not something that I want to do.
You agitators, you.
During the 5 years of the tax credit scholarship program, K-12 government school funding has continued to go up at a 45-degree angle, as it has for the last 30. And particularly the district that gets most of the attention, again, CPS is at $30,000 per kid.
That is so ridiculous.
Per year, which is more than virtually every suburban school district, where you pay 80% of your property taxes or to 90% for K-12 education, government education.
And you should see some of these facilities. Whew.
So take our eye off that ball. You can't have both. Funny, more than 24 other states have both. Governor Pritzker will happily force you to pay to kill kids in the womb or mutilate them if they get out, but he won't provide incentives to privately fund parental choice for the poor. That's Governor Pritzker in one sentence. And this opportunity to expose this gelatinous ghoul for who he is on behalf of lower income, mostly minority families and their kids. And the school choice movement in Illinois, and whatever constitutes a Republican or a conservative in this state, doesn't want to take that opportunity, doesn't want to be shouting it from the rooftops, doesn't want all hands on deck and all resources available. It is mind-boggling. Here was the response from Patricia White and her son Ian, effectively responding to what you just heard from Pritzker.
Well, I personally would say, why wouldn't you just keep it renewed? Like, it's helping so many kids.
For families like the Whites, there is a lot at stake.
I'm just going to keep doing the best I can to keep him there. Even if that means I have to take on an extra job or something like that, but I want to keep him there, and this funding is very important, so we need to keep that funding going.
So whose side are you on in that discussion? I mean, that's a rhetorical question. I hope it's a rhetorical question. It is really sad and frustrating. And then you have to listen to all of the nonsense that's talked about over nonsensical ancillary issues that have very little to do with people's quality of life, very little to do with kids' prospects for future prospects for success. and you have this moment, and most everybody who should be present and accounted for is AWOL. It's just a sad, sad commentary on a pathetic, pathetic state. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Yes, Sue and I truly love our dogs, which is why I am so glad I found Rough Greens. Not a dog food, but a dog supplement that we simply sprinkle on the dog's food. And naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, the founder and creator of Rough Greens, has shown us that dog food is actually dead food. It's true. Take some of your best kibble and put it in a bowl and set it on top of your fridge. 6 months or even a year later, or maybe 2 years later, it looks the same. No mold, no nothing, because it's dead food. Nutrition is not brown, nutrition is green, and Rough Greens will help your dog with low energy, itching and scratching, bad breath, digestion problems, and so much more, because it's packed with vitamins and minerals, probiotics, omega oils, and antioxidants. And Dr. Black is so convinced it will help your dog, he's offering a free Jumpstart trial bag. Just cover the shipping. Go to Rough Greens, that's RUFF, roughgreens.com/Prager, or call 833-223-RUFF, roughgreens.com/Prager, or call 833-223-RUFF.
Guys, a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and be sure to visit a provider you can trust. I trust my friends at Low T, where I've been getting my levels checked the past 8 years. At Low T Center, they make it easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll get your results back in about 25 minutes. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, notice weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could be signs of low testosterone levels. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office where you have a long wait. It's concierge medicine exclusively for men. They have affordable and convenient options for treatment, including physician-monitored self-inject treatments that ship directly to you each month, so there's no need to drive to the center for weekly visits. And right now, Low T Center is only $25 to get your T-level tested, with results back in about 25 minutes. So what are you waiting for? Log on now to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Proft sent you when you log on to lowtcenter.com to make that appointment. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
All right. Did you know that 47 million people have no or underscorable credit and would benefit from a Team Hochberg Fresh Start secured credit card with no annual fee? A Team Hochberg Fresh Start secured credit is perfect if your vindictive ex destroyed your credit, you recently filed for or were discharged from bankruptcy, experienced a foreclosure or short sale, have collections, or if you were turned down for a credit because one of your kids is having trouble securing their first credit card as well. Well, Team Hochberg partnered with Kane County Teachers Credit Union to offer the Team Hochberg Fresh Start secured credit card with no annual fee to help reestablish, enhance, and strengthen listeners with no damaged or challenged credit. For more information about obtaining a Team Hochberg Fresh Start secured credit card with no annual fee, go to 56david.com/fresh start. That's 56david.com/fresh start to establish, enhance, and strengthen your credit. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but he can't help you if you don't call or visit the website, 56david.com/fresh start. Lower Dock Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
Hope Wins is a nonprofit organization dedicated to share hope and end the devastation addiction brings to families. Visit our website, hopewins7.org. We present to high schools, middle schools, and organizations our son Keenan's story of addiction, his death, and the ripple effect it has on the whole family. It is our family's hope to convey eliminating stigma, the power of decision-making, the power of hope. We discuss that going to a drug and alcohol rehab is no different than someone going to a cancer center in hope of a cure. They both want to get well. We talk about the truth of heroin and addictive drugs. We talk about mental health through a tattoo of Keenan's, that there are some things we need to accept, things we have to have the courage to change, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keenan's story in his own handwriting is at hopewins7.org.
You want your basement to be dry most of the time? If so, Permaseal is not the company for you. At Permaseal, we believe your basement should be dry all the time, no matter how hard it rains. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal. I've heard many homeowners say that their basement only leaks when it rains. Well, you don't worry about your living room or bedroom getting wet, so you should feel the same way about your basement. Call 800-421-SEAL. We offer a free estimate, no haggle pricing, and a price assurance guarantee so you can rest assured you're getting the best value. If you want your basement dry all the time, you know who to call, Permaseal. We've helped over 450,000 homeowners across Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana since 1979 and have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-7325 or visit permaseal.net.
Best for beer and better Permaseal.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Hi, my name is Peg. I'm a wife, mother, and grandmother. Family is so important to me, and I want to stay healthy so that I can continue to do the things that I enjoy doing with all of them. I would recommend Balance of Nature. It's so easy to do every day. I feel great, and who doesn't want to feel great?
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Some interesting survey results out of New York. Siena College is the surveyor. This is on the reaction of New York residents to the handling of the migrant situation by Adams, by Hochul, by Biden. And I wonder, it'd be interesting to survey Chicago to see if the same attrition for the Democrats is occurring. By the way, on the issue matrix, in terms of which issues are most important to me, and which is sort of a proxy to say which issues inform my vote or most predominantly factor into my vote, inflation is still number one, understandably. Immigration is now number two. Now, usually it's all pocketbook issues, inflation, education, healthcare, so forth. Immigration number two, and then there's a pretty big divide, pretty big chasm between inflation, immigration, and then the rest of the issues. So it's definitely popping. And you see this in the Siena College results in New York as well. 84% consider the influx of migrants a serious issue. A majority, almost a supermajority, 57%, very serious problem. And nearly two-thirds of voters disapprove of the Biden administration's handling of the migrant influx. 64-29 disapprove. Also, you're seeing poor marks for Adams and Hochul as well. First of all, before we even get to that, the whole benefit cost. 54% of voters, New York, said migration has been more of a burden. 32% said it's a benefit. So you get a majority that way too.
I'd like to know what the benefits are.
Well, yeah, I mean, the idea, we're in a nation of immigrants, people are
feel
coming, and it's, yeah, right. And
Look at me, I did something, children.
And there'll be
Helping
definitely people that come to this
downtrodden.
country that contribute, and
Yep, there will be.
Of course, but this is not the way to do it, as we say ad nauseum. The other piece of this too, interesting, just in terms of the political attrition. 3 years ago, Siena poll, Biden 61, Trump 29. So going into the 2020 election, 61-29, 32-point spread. Right now, the spread statewide, New York, between Trump and Biden, Biden's up 9. I told you last week there was an Emerson poll that had Trump up 8 in Pennsylvania. The fact that you've seen a 23-point swing to Trump's benefit in New York State, that tells you a lot about what's going on, both with the economy, people's economic security, as well as with this issue specifically, and they sort of all factor in. The pollster saying this, the Siena College pollster, Steve Greenberg, seldom do we see an issue where at least 79% of Democrats, Republicans, independents, men, women, upstaters, downstaters, blacks, whites, Latinos, Catholics, Jews, Protestants all agree that it's a serious problem. And you don't call something that is a windfall a serious problem. You call that a happy occurrence. So when they say serious problem, they're not saying we're excited about what is transpiring. And as I mentioned, Adams and Hochul are both upside down on this as well. It'll be interesting to see where BLM Brandon and Jelly Belly are on this too, wouldn't it? Yeah. Lot of pushback. Now, does that necessarily mean New York's in play in 2024? No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Could things change? Yes. But if you don't expect that this administration at the federal level will change its policy with respect to border security, and there's no reason to anticipate that, and if you don't expect that Hochul or Adams are going to move to sort of send a public signal that we're not on board with this by rescinding sanctuary city state designation, by being more aggressive in their posture towards the Biden administration publicly, which there's no reason to believe that'll happen, then this is going to continue at least through 2024, depending on what happens in November of 2024, wouldn't you think?
Do you think Illinois would ever flip?
No. I mean, ever is a long time. But I mean, do you see the pressure on BLM Brandon or Jelly Belly to reverse course? I don't see it. I mean, the community meetings in Brighton Park and Galewood notwithstanding, South Shore, Hyde Park. I mean, those are blips. Do you see the organized, sustained opposition coming from within their ranks? Not to mention, where's anything resembling an opposition party? AWOL as per usual. So do you see what is the organized, sustained opposition that is on the horizon in Illinois or Chicago? I don't see it. So no, I don't think policies are going to change. And the only opportunity to affect that change will be to elect different policymakers in 24. That's where we're at. So buckle up for the next year.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
we'll get the latest on Israel and animatronic Tony Blinken's speech before the UN Security Council. We'll discuss with Zuhdi Jasser at 7:07.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
An Illinois State police officer shot in Springfield with Chicago ties. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
Is Mike Johnson finally the one? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. He's the new GOP nominee for House Speaker.
This conference that you see, this House Republican majority is united.
Though it hasn't been for 3 weeks as they keep trying to replace ousted Speaker Kevin McCarthy, Johnson's the fourth nominee, and a House vote could come today.
It's a good fit. I think he's got a great chance of getting this thing across the finish line.
Congressman Mike Collins tells Fox.
A lot of what we've been looking for here, since we're speakerless, is some new type of blood, some new leadership, some people that can bring in new ideas, probably, and run that place more like a business.
Now, Tom Emmer was the Speaker nominee briefly yesterday until former President Trump posted on Truth Social his opposition, calling Emmer a rhino, Republican in name only. For a 19th day, Israel's going after Hamas terrorists in Gaza, and Fox's Trey Yingst reports.
We could see Israeli soldiers near the border
there was some level of commotion, small arms back and forth, and flares being fired into the air. We've learned today that 2 Hamas militants tried to infiltrate through the Zakim Beach area.
They were both killed trying to enter from the sea. Meanwhile,
along the border with Lebanon, more anti-tank guided missile attacks into Israeli territory.
Now, Israel's been firing back at Hezbollah militants there, while the leader of that group, backed by Iran, met today with the leaders of Hamas and Islamic Jihad, the terror groups targeting Israel from Gaza, where thousands of Palestinian civilians have been killed and caught in the crossfire, food and fuel in low supply. Hurricane Otis is raining down on Mexico's southern Pacific coast, and the Acapulco area came ashore as a monster Category 5 storm. Baseball's World Series is set. Arizona versus Texas. After the Diamondbacks beat the Phillies in Philadelphia 4-2 in a Game 7 to win the National League pennant, Corbin Carroll drove in the tying run, then scored what ended up the game-winning run, telling MLB Network.
I think it's really been a group effort. Players sticking up for players.
2 years ago, both the Diamondbacks and the Rangers lost more than 100 games. The World Series starts Friday. America's listening to Fox.
Showers and 63 degrees at 7:02. On AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man is in custody after a police officer was shot during a traffic stop in Springfield last night. It happened around 10:45 as local police responded to reports of an officer shot. Later, the Illinois State Police clarified it was an Illinois State Police trooper who interacted with a suspect, 37-year-old Cristobal Santana of Chicago, believed to be wanted in connection with a homicide occurring recently here in Chicago. Chicago police tell reporters Santana has not been formally charged yet in connection with that homicide. Emotions are running high and spilling over plans for a migrant base camp in Brighton Park during a community meeting last night over that proposed temporary shelter at 38th and California. Chicago Police Commander Don Jerome says in spite of unarmed security on site and an 11 p.m. curfew, there may be issues.
I know this district well. We will increase our patrols. We will put additional manpower here. But I will be transparent with you. With more people here, there may be more problems.
Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul, part of a coalition of more than 30 state attorneys general, suing the company that owns and operates Facebook and Instagram.
Meta has been allowed to addict our children to a product that interferes with their education, their sleep, and ultimately their mental and physical health.
The lawsuit accuses Meta of harmful business practices targeting children. Mayor Brandon Johnson wants to split up proposed new contract for the Chicago Police Union into 2 halves. Johnson announcing a pending contract last Friday. However, this week he has said he is disappointed with giving officers the option to have serious disciplinary cases heard privately by an independent third party rather than publicly before the Chicago Police Board. So he will attempt to split that and the economic portion of that contract. Bruins over the Blackhawks 3-0 at the United Center. Bulls begin the regular NBA season against OKC tonight. Minor League Hockey, the Wolves in action tonight against Iowa. The news is a service of MyPillow and their 6-pack bath towel sets. They're back in stock. They have proprietary technology that makes them extremely absorbent, yet provides that soft feel you look for. Get 50% savings with promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Best Dental Group of Bartlett, the Illinois Family Institute, and by Alpha Wealth Group.
Have you been searching for a Napa Valley quality winery experience closer to home? A hidden gem awaits you at Bishop's Hill Winery in Joliet. Come experience fine wine, history, and castles. Stay to enjoy the Bishop's Hill Tasting Room to round out a perfect day. The Bishop's Hill Castle is easily accessible in nearby Joliet. This facility was home to a former brewery in the 1860s and is located on a hill with a commanding view where you'll enjoy sampling some of the highest rated wines in the world. Bishop's Hill wines are made from California grapes and sustainably grown. These wines have received Best in Class, Gold and Double Gold awards at the San Francisco Chronicle North American Wine Competition. Now is your opportunity to stock up for the holidays and purchase national award-winning wine from Joliet-based Bishop's Hill Winery. If you want the Napa experience without the cost, look no further. Group discounts are available, and the Bishop's Hill Castle is also ready to host your next event for your family or business. Visit online at bishopshill.com. That's bishopshill.com.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
Eating Balance of Nature fruits and veggies is not replacing the fruits and vegetables in your diet. It is fruits and vegetables in your diet. Ask yourself, how many servings of fruits and vegetables have I eaten today? Have you eaten 1, 2, 3, and from how many varieties? Most people are less than 3. Our body is an amazing chemical laboratory, and when you give it the right chemistry, it functions the best. Balance of Nature is 31 different fruits and vegetables prepared in a way to give you the ultimate whole fruit and vegetable chemistry. Let Balance of Nature help you supplement your fruit and vegetable intake for a lot less money and a lot less work and a much higher quality of life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
It is 7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of our friends at PKF Mueller's CPA professionals, business and financial advisors. The Mueller CPA team, experienced, ready to help with record-keeping, expense reduction, budgeting. Visit online, pkfmueller.com. Eden's all black numbers, not good. 45 and climbing right now. Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy right now at 90 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Outbound, it's an hour from downtown back out to the big airport. Stevenson, over an hour now, about 63 minutes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive from 355. The Dan Ryan, 37, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. The tracking delays on 8094 westbound, right near Martin Luther King Drive. Bad accident, 9 vehicles involved, 6 cars, 3 semis, and 3 right lanes blocked. One of those semis has lost its load. Westbound 8094 to be avoided if you can for the time being. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Cloudy with some rain and drizzle this morning, and then a shower in spots this afternoon. High today 68. Cloudy and warm. A shower in spots this evening. Low 64. Cloudy, breezy and warm. Couple of showers around tomorrow afternoon. The high 73. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
64 at O'Hare. Next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, animatronic Anthony Blinken, our Secretary of State, addressed the UN Security Council yesterday, saying this. The most relevant portion of his 14-minute blathering was about the U.S. posture towards Iran and what he's calling futilely, to be sure, on the UN Security Council and other member nations of the UN to do vis-a-vis Iran. Take a listen.
It is no secret to anyone in this room or on this council that for years Iran has supported Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and other groups that continue to carry out attacks on Israel. Iranian leaders have routinely threatened to wipe Israel off the map. In recent weeks, Iran's proxies have repeatedly attacked U.S. personnel in Iraq and Syria, whose mission is to prevent ISIS from renewing its rampage. So, let me say this before this council, and let me say what we've consistently said to Iranian officials through other channels. The United States does not seek conflict with Iran. We do not want this war to widen. But if Iran or its proxies attack U.S. personnel anywhere, make no mistake, we will defend our people, we will defend our security swiftly and decisively. To all the members of this council, if you, like the United States, want to prevent this conflict from spreading, tell Iran, tell its proxies, in public, in private, through every means, do not open another front against Israel in this conflict. Do not attack Israel's partners.
You know, that's all well and good, except America could take Tony Blinken's own advice. This regime could take his advice. On October 18th, Transition Day. How much publication of that did you see in the D.C. press corps? Transition Day under the Iran nuclear deal. With it passed the UN missile and drone sanctions, Iran's terrorist proxies and foreign clients such as Vladimir Putin send their regards, is what the Wall Street Journal opined. Continuing on just a bit, a core problem with the 2015 nuclear talks was the key restrictions were allowed to sunset, at which point Iranian activities would be stamped legal. The arms embargo was allowed to expire in October 2020. Missile and drone limits followed last week. The idea at the time was that the nuclear deal would cause Iran to moderate its malign behavior to fit the Western timetable. How's that going?
That expired at midnight our time, and nobody talked about it. Nobody, just a few. We briefly mentioned it here, but besides that, maybe Fox News.
And so the focus on Iran didn't last very long because, of course, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres offered the typical false equivalences that you would get from an Ivy League professor in his remarks about the Hamas terrorist attack. He condemned the attack in one breath, and then what did he say in the next?
It is important to also recognize the attacks by Hamas did not happen in a vacuum. The Palestinian people have been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation. They have seen their land steadily devoured by settlements and plagued by violence, their economy stifled, their people displaced, and their homes demolished. Their hopes for a political solution to their plight have been vanishing. The relentless bombardment of Gaza by Israeli forces, the level of civilian casualties, and the wholesale destruction of neighborhoods continue to mount and are deeply alarming. Protecting civilians does not mean ordering more than 1 million people to evacuate to the south, where there is no shelter, no food, no water, no medicine, and no fuel, and then continuing to bomb the south itself. I am deeply concerned about the clear violations of international humanitarian law that we are witnessing in Gaza.
And that prompted this response from Israeli ambassador to the UN, Gilad Erdan, who called for Boris Badenov's resignation there.
The UN is failing, and you, Mr. Secretary General, have lost all morality and impartiality. Because when you say those terrible words that these heinous attacks did not happen in a vacuum, you are tolerating terrorism. And by tolerating terrorism, you are justifying terrorism. And the SG is blaming the victim. You are blaming Israel. This is a pure blood libel. This is a pure blood libel. And I think that the Secretary General must resign. Because from now on, every day that he is here in this building, unless he apologizes immediately, today we called him to apologize, there's no justification to the existence of this building.
Yeah, well, was there before that? Yeah, you know, Gutierrez can go away and maybe they can appoint Liv Tyler or Angelina Jolie to be UN Secretary General. I mean, it's about that important, frankly. For more on all this, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, co-founder of the Muslim Reform Movement. He's also a former Navy lieutenant commander, author of A Battle for the Soul of Islam, and by the way,
this just in.
He's a candidate for Congress in Arizona 4. Is that your mom's district?
No, it is not.
No,
Because
too
I was going
bad.
to say he'll for sure have a vote, but sorry.
Well, it's Arizona. She can
It's
probably
Mesa,
vote.
Gilbert, Chandler, you know.
She can probably vote wherever she wants in Arizona,
Exactly.
from what we've seen.
Tucson, Phoenix, same thing.
Dr. Jasser, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me back.
Whatever sort of Pollyannish prospects Tony Blinken thought he had to bring the UN Security Council and the larger member nations to consensus on this, to speak with one voice and condemn Iran and act in furtherance of that condemnation, that seemed to go by the boards pretty quickly.
Oh, it did. He's like the dysfunctional weatherman who has a hurricane that came and says that somehow he was surprised by it and just starts describing the hurricane that he laid out over the past multiple years of actually saying the opposite to the UN. When Iran declared its intention, when Iran has long called for the death and destruction of Israel and the West, they said, oh, that's just words, it doesn't mean anything. And now that it does mean anything, he's saying that the UN needs to respond to it. It's absurd, it's offensive, and you listen to their expectation in the UN of no response. One thing I'd remind them is they called for a day of jihad. These Islamists want to light up the Middle East. They want to create death and destruction. That's the way Hamas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda work, because it rebrands them. It gives the population there that has the ones that don't have any moral agency, that have lost their moorings and lost their humanity, a chance to say they're the ones that will represent the will of the Palestinians, when in fact the Palestinians and the Arabs and those that do have morality, like the Iran women's movement, those that were pushing back against their dictatorships, they didn't participate in this day of jihad. The women's movement actually was rejecting the theocrats of Iran, and in the past few weeks has been saying they stand with Israel, they stand against terrorism. So, I think it's long overdue for the Palestinians to have an Arab awakening against their own tyrants, which are Hamas. And, the Israelis were releasing leaflets the past few days and dropping them and saying, if any of you know where these hostages are, let us know. We want to minimize civilian loss. And, that's the story you're not hearing from the propagandist arms of the BBC and other media that seem to have a one side in which they, and actually I have to tell you, as a Muslim, as the son of immigrants, that it is bigotry to me to say that somehow we don't have any moral agency, that somehow there's a justification for, if you look at the manual that Hamas had that was revealed by NBC, no right-wing media, this is a left-wing media that released a manual that said 8 points. Point 1 and 2 of the hostage taking was to go in and slaughter women and children at the festivals, at the schools, and elsewhere. Nowhere do you see that the taking of the hostages is being condemned roundly. They just sort of say it as a footnote, and then they go on to say, well, they've been oppressed, et cetera, et cetera. Well, enough is enough. We need to decimate Hamas's leadership, and then after that talk about what is the path forward for Palestinians that are part of humanity, part of civilization, and not part of evil.
Well, what should the path forward be?
The The path forward has to first be to release these hostages safely to their families. The path forward first has to be to completely end the military arm, and also political arm of Hamas needs to be defeated, no different than Germany was defeated in World War II, no different than any of the enemies of humanity have been defeated. And, I have to tell you, the Syrians, for example, should not have a long memory to know that Hamas did not support the revolution in Syria. Hamas supported Assad, supported Iran in their regional aspirations. So the path forward needs to be to end those who are the enemies of humanity first in the next few weeks in this war, and hopefully minimize the loss of civilian life, as is always horrific in war. But it's one thing to end who started this war, and then after that start to create corridors of humanity to bring sustenance to those who are suffering, and begin to create a new leadership in the Palestinian territories.
With respect to Iran, what's their end game here? Blinken, we don't want conflict with Iran. It doesn't seem like Iran really wants to formally put its fingerprints on this, to engage more than they have in terms of providing weapons and whatever other logistical support they provide to terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah. It seems like maybe they're just trying to use this as a time when they can advance their weapons program that Obama started helping them to advance several years back. Is that what they're really aiming to do at this point?
It's a couple things. Three things I would say is involved here. Number one is to distract from their internal weakness in the revolution. All of a sudden the topic has changed across the Middle East. No one's paying attention to the women's movement anymore. Number two is to begin to inflame a lot of their proxies. The Houthis should be declared a terrorist organization. I'll remind you that the Biden administration a year ago removed the designation of the Houthis as a foreign terrorist organization, and now they're launching missiles again. And so that needs to happen. Number three is to solidify the Abraham Accords. They saw Saudi Arabia, a lot of the Arab Gulf countries beginning to normalize economic relations with Israel, which would be a disaster for Iran. And also, by the way, the new axis of evil, Iran, China, and Russia, are creating a strengthening of their triangular power, if you will, and that also has been rekindled. And we need to also, push back again. So those three areas are the reasoning behind it. They met, with the head of Hamas leadership in Tehran just weeks before this happened, and began to increase sort of the verbal attacks against Israel in the West. And lo and behold, the war started a few weeks later. So this should not have been a surprise. There's a lot of secondary gains that they have from it, and always as they do in proxy wars. And we need to have them pay a price, not only in the loss of their weaponry, but also intelligence.
Maybe, for example, reinstituting the arms embargoes?
Yeah, exactly. The maximum pressure campaign needs to come back. I don't understand why Blinken and company don't say that the Pompeo maximum pressure campaign worked. This would not have happened under that campaign. They removed it, and here we are now. The Middle East is on fire.
Well, so NSC spokesman John Kirby, who has become almost as risible a figure as Karine Jean-Pierre, with the statements he makes, like giving Biden an A+ on the management of this crisis in the Middle East, as well as the crisis in Eastern Europe. John Kirby said this about Iran-sponsored attacks, because, of course, Iran is sponsoring attacks on U.S. troops in other theaters outside of Gaza. Take a listen.
Now, we know these groups are supported by the IRGC and the regime. We know Iran continues to support Hamas and Hezbollah. And we know that Iran is closely monitoring these events, and in some cases actively facilitating these attacks and spurring on others who may want to exploit the conflict for their own good or for that of Iran. We know Iran's goal is to maintain some level of deniability here, but we're not going to allow them to do that. We also are not going to allow any threat to our interest in the region to go unchallenged. We demonstrated last...
Yeah, that's all. Those pieties are all well and good, but we have U.S. soldiers being attacked by Iran using weapons we've allowed them to obtain.
The now they're going to not allow it when they've actually planted the seeds in which Iran felt they could do anything they wanted to, in which they facilitated Assad's continued ascension in his country, and the crimes against humanity that he did, and the troops that they sent into Syria to decimate that population. And then Lebanon now is completely a third world country, a country that's been destroyed as a result of Iran's fueling of Hezbollah. Now they're saying they're not going to do that. I mean, that's offensive. And the appeasement policy that they've had has basically been a green light to the ascendancy of that Shia crescent from Iran through Iraq. I mean, when is the establishment in Washington going to realize that the reason we lost Iraq was not necessarily that it was a fool's plan, but the bottom line was that Obama administration handed it over to Iran. And that type of division in the Middle East between Iran and the Arab countries, that crescent, is going to actually create a conflict in which if Iran gets nuclear weapons, then we're going to have to talk about Saudi Arabia getting nuclear weapons. And the concern now of this conflict broadening beyond Israel and Hamas is very significant, because remember, at the end of the day, Iran's suicidal Hezbollah and terrorist organizations goes beyond simply non-state actors. The IRGC was declared a terror organization because they have state-wished suicidality, as they declare every time they open the UN and they call for the coming of the 12th Imam. The 12th Imam will come at the end of times when the Middle East is ablaze and afire, and Jerusalem's on fire. So that's the way they see it. And that's why they should have had deterrence back during the Obama administration, and not just talking about it now when our ally Israel is having to defend itself after an attack.
Kind of a pedestrian question, but why are you running for the House of Representatives for Arizona's Fighting Fourth?
Well, I'm running because my parents came to this country to participate in the religious freedom of Americanism, of an idea that was not only a city on a hill, but a promise of freedom, of free speech. That diversity was not just about identity politics, but it was about diversity of ideas, and we're losing that. We're seeing the wokeists work with the Islamists and the spread of anti-Semitism on campuses. I saw through COVID primary care and medicine destroyed by government intervention, and small businesses destroyed. And I've seen the weaponization of government against the American people, and seeing things that I thought only happened in the Middle East beginning to happen here. And, now with this war, I'm reminded more than ever, and as my family told me they wanted me to run because of these issues. So I'd like to renew America's promise, flip the district that we're in. It's currently a Democrat district with Stanton, and it can be flipped. It was split 49-49 in the presidential part of the ballot last time, and it can be won with a strong candidate. And I'd like to give the antidote to the Ilhan Omars of Congress, who really are anti-American and seem to be filling an American congressional seat, and I'd like to do the opposite.
No, that would be fun to watch you go toe-to-toe with Omar and Tlaib and the others. That would be amazing. That'd be worth sitting down with a tub of popcorn and watching. Z for AZ, Z is in Zuhdi for AZ, zforaz.com is his campaign website. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, President of American Islamic Forum for Democracy, co-founder of the Muslim Reform Movement, former Navy lieutenant commander, author of A Battle for the Soul of Islam, and Republican candidate for Congress in Arizona, Arizona 4, z4az.com. Dr. Z, Zuhdi Jasser, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Donald Trump Jr. is coming to Chicagoland on Friday, October 27th. McHenry County Go Pack is hosting this exclusive event in Addison. But space is extremely limited, and RSVPs will be accommodated on a first-come, first-served basis. To secure your tickets, go to countyconservatives.com. Meet President Trump's most trusted surrogate, his oldest son, and conservative activist and businessman. Learn the latest on President Trump's campaign, the deep state's plans to take him down, and how President Trump wants you to participate in the rules of engagement to take back the White House. This is an event that you don't want to miss. The first 300 ticket holders will also receive a copy of the best-selling book, Letters to Trump. So don't wait to get your tickets to see Donald Trump Jr. in Chicagoland on October 27th. Go to countyconservatives.com. That's countyconservatives.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Hi, my name is Peg. I'm a wife, mother, and grandmother. Family is so important to me, and I want to stay healthy so that I can continue to do the things that I enjoy doing with all of them. I would recommend Balance of Nature. It's so easy to do every day. I feel great, and who doesn't want to feel great?
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll ask economist Steve Moore, who's also a Republican Party reptile inside the Beltway, what are Mike Johnson's prospects for being installed as Speaker, and talk a little Bidenomics as well, 7:37.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
62 degrees at 7:32. Hurricane Otis has slammed into Mexico's southern Pacific coast as a catastrophic Category 5 hurricane. 165-mile-an-hour winds, heavy rain in Acapulco and nearby towns. Otis rapidly intensified overnight and did so from a tropical storm to a Category 5 monster in about 12 hours. The leader of Lebanon's Hezbollah group has met with top Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad officials. The meeting today is one of the first reported since the Hamas-Israel war erupted earlier this month after Hamas terror attacks and other clashes.
There's no sign of a let-up in the bombardment as the U.S. is asking Israel to let more humanitarian aid into Gaza. The Palestinian Health Ministry says more than 5,000 people have been killed in airstrikes since a Hamas attack on Israel earlier this month killed about 1,400 people. Israeli tanks are amassed on the border with Gaza, waiting for orders to launch a ground invasion. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Republicans have chosen Congressman Mike Johnson of Louisiana as their latest nominee for House Speaker. Georgia Republican Congressman Mike Collins said moments ago he thinks Johnson may get the vote.
I wasn't personally looking for anyone that had been here for decades, and so it's a good fit. I think he's got a great chance of getting this thing across the finish line.
Johnson will face a floor vote today. Congressman Tom Emmer, a Republican from Minnesota, dropped out of the race due to lack of support, but actually beat Johnson in a vote earlier yesterday. A man is in custody after a police officer was shot during a traffic stop in Springfield around 10:45 last night. Illinois State Police say it was a state police trooper who interacted with the suspect, 37-year-old Cristobal Santana of Chicago, believed to be wanted in connection with a homicide occurring recently in Chicago. And Chicago police say Santana has not yet been formally charged in connection with that homicide. Emotions running very high over a migrant base camp in Brighton Park.
Nobody asked us. Nobody told us. We have more than few thousand people who signed a signature here who said no. We said no.
Many people spoke out against the plan. Alderman Julia Ramirez claims she had no choice.
That I was not aware that the city trucks had been working on the lot after the fact. I did not have aldermanic prerogative in this decision. I was not asked or given a vote.
In other news we're following this morning, a former NFL player charged in connection with the death of his mother is set to appear in court today. Sergio Brown will appear at the Cook County Courthouse in Maywood, tied to the death of 73-year-old Myrtle Simmons Brown. Bruins over the Blackhawks at the UC 3-0. Bulls and OKC to begin the regular NBA season tonight. The news, a service of Turnkey.pro. With decades of C-suite experience, Turnkey knows small business. Their team of veteran consultants know how to reduce costs and grow new revenue streams, all without having to hire on-site pros. Turnkey has solutions for your business. Visit turnkey.pro. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Bishop's Hill Winery, Woodland Windows and Doors, and by Bone Frog Coffee Company.
Have you been searching for a Napa Valley quality winery experience closer to home? A hidden gem awaits you at Bishop's Hill Winery in Joliet. Come experience fine wine, history, and castles. Stay to enjoy the Bishop's Hill tasting room to round out a perfect day. The Bishop's Hill Castle is easily accessible in nearby Joliet. This facility was home to a former brewery in the 1860s and is located on a hill with a commanding view where you'll enjoy sampling some of the highest rated wines in the world. Bishop's Hill wines are made from California grapes and sustainably grown. These wines have received Best in Class, Gold, and Double Gold awards at the San Francisco Chronicle North American Wine Competition. Now is your opportunity to stock up for the holidays and purchase national award-winning wine from Joliet-based Bishop's Hill Winery. If you want the Napa experience without the cost, look no further. Group discounts are available, and the Bishop's Hill Castle is also ready to host your next event for your family or business. Visit online at bishopshill.com. That's bishopshill.com.
In a world where financial landscapes can change rapidly, safeguarding your savings and retirement accounts is paramount. Direct Bullion USA is more than just the #1 rated gold bullion dealer in America. We're your trusted partner in navigating the uncertainties of hyperinflation and political upheaval around the world. Direct Bullion USA can provide you with the knowledge and resources to fortify your financial stability and protect what matters most. Call us now at 888-787-GOLD. Precious metals like gold and silver have been a safe haven investment for hundreds of years. Get started when you call Direct Bullion USA at 888-787-4653 and get your free gold investing starter kit today. All it takes is one call to 888-787-GOLD. Take control of your retirement and protect your future with Direct Bullion USA. Call 888-787-4653. That's 888-787-GOLD.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a multi-state PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group, as well as other teaching hospitals around the nation. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from HealthInsuranceMentors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 25-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit HealthInsuranceMentors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
7:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. On the Kennedy, right now it is, we'll call it 100 minutes from here into the Burns Circle interchange and climbing today. Just going to be a headache on the inbound Kennedy. If you're on it, you might want to squeeze off, especially tight between Irving Park and Belmont this morning. Outbound Kennedy, 55 minutes from downtown out to the big airport. Stevenson right now running without too many delays, just very slow. About an hour 10 from 355 into New Saba Lakeshore Drive. Express lanes all bound up inbound on the Dan Ryan, 51st up to the Stevenson, 43 from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange, and 8094 due to a bad accident. 9 vehicles involved, 3 right lanes blocked westbound 8094 between King Drive and Burr. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast cloudy and cooler, rain and drizzle through the day, highs 68. 62 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by IDT. Eliminate paper files with the IoT Smart Connected Scanning Device. Find them at ready4IDT.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Have you heard about young Greta Thunberg's new book?
Oh, yeah, something about vegans and batteries on jet planes, some imaginary world she lives with rainbows and unicorns.
Here's Greta promoting her book.
War is always bad, specifically
War is
for the
bad?
planet. If we want to continue fighting battles like environmentally conscious humans, we must make the change to sustainable tanks and weaponry. There are so many new concepts for battery-powered fighter jets that can carry many more missiles, biodegradable missiles, of course. Something literally everybody can do to stop this nonsense is, for example, block the roads to gardens and farms so the plants don't get overrun by these heavy, heavy tanks. Hand grenades, very important. If you use hand grenades, please use vegan grenades. No animal should have to give their life for all this mayhem and chaos. They have a special sticker on them. You really can't miss them in the grenade market or wherever you buy them. Yeah, I cover all of this and more in my newest book, Vegan Wars.
Vegan
Now-
grenades? I didn't know that was a thing.
So this is great. This is Sacha Baron Cohen quality. That's not actually what Greta said in this interview that she did. Somebody dubbed that in over what she said. She's
Thank
got
you.
a new book out called The Climate Book. So that was somebody spoofing her and spoofing her new book. But it's the point is that a lot of people were fooled by it because that's how ridiculous she is, and that's how ridiculous this eco-supremacist movement is. And also,
They had me.
yeah, it's a total spoof. But they had a lot of people.
Right.
And that tells you something about how serious Greta Thunberg and people like her should be taken. It's also an expensive movement. A good piece over at Zero Hedge on the actual cost of electric batteries. Since, we got that Chicom plant coming to Manteno, I thought you might want to know, not to mention if you're ever in the market for a new car. I mean, it's really something. Now, keep in mind that the average price to replace a battery in a gasoline fuel car is like $100 to $200. The average price for an EV is $10,000. But listen to the cost of these cars. 2025 Cadillac Escalade, nickel, cobalt, manganese, aluminum battery. The battery cost is $22,500. The total cost is $130,000. Tesla Model S, nickel, cobalt, aluminum battery. That's $12,000 on a car that costs $88,000. The Ram 1500 REV, nickel, cobalt, manganese battery. The battery costs almost $26,000 on an $81,000 car. Rivian delivery van, battery costs $13,000, a little over $13,000 on a car that's a little over, or a van that's over a little over $52,000. Ford Mustang, lithium ion phosphate battery.
How much?
About $7,000 for the battery on a $43,000 car. I mean, just to give you an example.
That's real big money.
The lithium, nickel, cobalt, aluminum batteries have an average price of about $120 per kilowatt hour, while the lithium, nickel, cobalt, manganese batteries, slightly lower price point at about $112. Both contain significant nickel proportions, increasing the battery's energy density to allow for longer range. And so, this is the brave new world, and this is obviously the need for state and federal subsidies to make this, even remotely affordable for most people as these mandates are imposed. But I mean, just to give you sort of, again, the real world implications, like we're talking about the real world implications of open borders and sanctuary states, those price points, how do those grab you? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined, as always, by Steve Moore, who is an economist and the author of Govzilla. Steve, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys. And I want to just be on record that I am in favor of biodegradable missiles. I think they're much more humane.
What about vegan grenades, Stephen Moore? How do you feel about those? There's a sticker on them.
I mean, I have to say that I didn't know it was a parody until the very end.
No, they did a great job.
I didn't either.
Yeah, great job.
Well, I have to say that, by the way, some of this stuff, it is so out there. But I wrote a report on our hotline the other day. The United Nations, they're an important organization, right, has basically issued a report saying it's time to stop using concrete and steel for buildings. And instead, and this is not a parody. This is not a parody. Instead of using concrete and steel, we should use bamboo shoots and wood and biomass. I don't even know what biomass is, by the way, to build buildings. We're going to build the they don't even call it the Sears Tower anymore, right? But we're going to build the John Hancock building with wood and bamboo shoots.
Yeah, we're going to go like more. We're going to do adobes, clay, and that's we're going to go back. Go back to our origins as a country. On the plains. It's interesting though.
Well, wait a minute. It goes back further than that. They want to take us back to the Stone Age. Some of these people want to get rid of the wheel. The wheel. That was a bad invention. That started to destroy the planet.
There's no question. It led to, ease of transportation and things like that, which are bad news. But the good news is coming from our friends, the Swiss, that it seems at least some people are, rejecting the silliness of this eco-supremacist movement.
Yeah, that's right. And so you have some countries. In fact, Europe has really moved pretty aggressively against green energy. This is a story that nobody reports. The New York Times doesn't report this. The Chicago Tribune, the LA Times, none of the Washington Post. They don't report that the European countries 10 to 15 years ago tried the whole green energy. They were all in on green energy. We're going to build windmills and solar panels, and it was a complete failure, especially in Germany. Germany crippled its economy. And so now they're moving back to natural gas and nuclear power and other forms of energy, while we continue to shut down our coal plants, shut down our natural gas plants, and play right into the hands of our enemies. I mean, look, green energy is, for the most part, it's a niche form of energy. We could maybe get 10 or 15% of our energy from wind and solar power, with a big push. But there is a movement out there that is incredibly devious and sinister that even many American Fortune 100 companies signed on to, called net zero. And net zero is this lunatic idea that we're going to go from using, getting 70% of our energy, which is what we do today. 70% of our energy comes from oil, gas, and coal. And we're going to go from 70% to zero in the next 25 years. That will absolutely annihilate the U.S. economy. And we will go back to being we'll be one of the poorest countries on the planet, but we'll save the planet.
I wanted to, before we get to your take on the speakership that's in flux here, there's some more good news. Let's try to accentuate the positive before we get to things that are a little bit more chaotic and uneven. In your newsletter, Unleash Prosperity, we see a couple of good things happening. One of them is the ESG investing. Speaking of another silly movement,
way down.
That's way down. Speak to that.
Yeah, well, it doesn't. It's a bad deal for investors, and so ESG gets lower returns. And by the way, for people who don't know what the ESG term means, it means investing in climate change and social justice and racial preferences and things like that. Now, you may be for or against those things, but I always thought, I'm at old-fashioned. I always thought the purpose of a company was to make money for the shareholders of the company. I know that's a very old-fashioned idea, but they're sacrificing returns, for these crazy left-wing ideas. Well, that was all the fad 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. There's a total rebellion now against that. And I think one of the things, and I'd like your guys' reaction to this, I think the corporate America was completely spooked by what happened with Bud Light. I mean, that was a huge thing. And no, these idiots on Madison Avenue, they are so out of touch with real Americans. Like, what the hell just went on? All we did was put, some crazy transvestite on the can of a beer can, and all of a sudden, our profits disappear by $30 billion. So they're not attuned with the fact that you have, half of the voters in this country are conservative.
Yeah, well, that's right, and there was, I think there was a ripple effect to that, no question. Of course, it still is happening to Bud Light too, in terms of their sales being down. And
by the way, I think that brand is done. I think they have completely destroyed that brand. And the thing about that story is they brought in this woman to run that campaign who was like the top of her class, I think, at Harvard Business School. She was, she was like the wonder kind. She was going to be the one who took, Anheuser-Busch to the moon, and it crashed. And she was a perfect example of some kind of highfalutin, university student who know nothing about America.
She wanted to expand the sales, and the reason behind that, she's like, we want more than just frat guys drinking our beer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she didn't. Her market study, she didn't do a good job.
No more frat guys drinking that beer. That's a good.
There you go.
That. Yeah.
If you want to expand your sales, the first thing you do is you insult half of your customers. That's a really good idea.
Exactly. On the speakership, is Mike Johnson, is he enough of a consensus candidate to finally get someone across the finish line?
I mean, my God, he's the flavor of the day, but, who knows? I mean, this has become such a three-ring circus. It's such a black eye for Republicans. I'm embarrassed to call myself a Republican. Steve Scalise would have been a great speaker. Jim Jordan would have been a great speaker. Byron Donalds would have been a great speaker. I think Kevin McCarthy was a good speaker. What the hell is going on with these idiots? I mean, they are looking like a bunch of clowns. We had a cartoon in our hotline the other day of a picture of the House floor, and it was all filled with clowns. And one of our readers wrote in and said, "This is a total insult to clowns." But
yeah, right.
They look completely incompetent, and we got to get a speaker. And what worries me, like Mike Johnson seems fine to me. I don't really know him very well. I know some of those others a lot better, but I'm worried that they're what we're getting is like least common denominator speaker, someone who can. So you need somebody strong. You need firm. We need a general House Republican caucus, not a Beetle Bailey.
I think we need Kevin McCarthy back. I mean, he's been such a leader, a great leader, and he's been on all the cable stations, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Now, do you think Matt Gaetz has egg in his face after all this?
Totally agree.
Yep. What about Matt Gaetz? Do you think does he have egg in his face after all of this?
I would say so. Yeah, I would say definitely. And, this is what happens when you open a Pandora's box that you don't know what's going to come out. But I'm totally with you. I mean, bring back Kevin McCarthy. What people don't understand, and I know a lot of your listeners probably don't like Kevin McCarthy, and I've had run-ins with Kevin McCarthy over the years, for sure. But you know what he does better than anybody else? One of the most important roles of the Speaker of the House. You know what that is, Dan?
Tell me.
Raising money.
Yeah, well, that's true.
You can't have a House majority if you don't have somebody raising $100 to $200 million, and Kevin McCarthy does that. And, if you don't have somebody doing that, you're going to lose the House of Representatives, and you're going to have a speaker, was it Jeffries? Is that the Democrat running the House now?
Hakeem Jeffries,
Hakeem Jeffries. Is that what we want?
That's a good question. I guess we're going to find out the answer as this plays itself out. Stephen Moore, economist and Govzilla author. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys. Have a great week. Take care.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Before he came to By the Hand Club for Kids, Travis was actively in the game. He didn't think God was interested in his life. After he came to By the Hand, his life was transformed. By the Hand spared no expense in showing they're all about Jesus. They care about kids, mind, body, and soul. Learn more at salem.bythehand.org. That's salem.bythehand.org.
Life is complicated enough without having to worry about your financial concerns when you retire. In a perfect world, your retirement funds would just be there when you reach retirement age.
But it's not a perfect world, and you really need to look ahead and be proactive to manage the dollars you've earned.
The team at Wealth Management Group can help. Uncomplicate your financial future and talk to the team at Wealth Management Group today.
Call 833-WMG-PLAN. That's 833-WMG-PLAN. Or investwithWMG.com.
If your car goes on the fritz, you rush to the garage for repairs. But if you've got high blood pressure, well, what do you do then? 1 out of 2 adults have high blood pressure. It's not a rare occurrence. It's not like a super blue moon. And the thing is, managing it has gotten so much easier. Now you can get help from a small bottle of juice from my friends at 120 Life. It's a natural juice drink that helps lower your blood pressure without enriching Big Pharma or the side effects of pills. The juice has pomegranates, tart cherries, cranberry, hibiscus, beetroot, and magnesium, all natural ingredients that help control my blood pressure. I'm taking it. I love it. Go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com and order their 2-week trial pack. Order it now. Enjoy risk-free money-back guarantee. If you don't see lower blood pressure numbers in 2 weeks, you get your money back. You're not going to see that from Big Pharma. Use coupon code LIBERTY at checkout. Save 15%. 120life.com. We need more stuff like this.
I talk openly about money with my kids. It's important they learn at a young age.
I make sure to always give back. It's how I remember where I came from.
I put what I can towards my retirement every month. Every little bit counts.
At Thrivent, we believe money is a tool, not a goal. Driven by a higher purpose at our core for more than 100 years, we offer expert financial advice that starts with what's important to you. Visit Thrivent.com to learn more.
Commercial and industrial HVAC system replacements demand the best in the business, and R.J. Ullman Company's team of skilled tradesmen are the best in the business. Their specialty is full-service commercial HVAC, and they'll get your job done right with sheet metal ductwork and fittings designed and built by their in-house fab shop to give you customized quality and speed. Made in the USA, R.J. Ullman Company is a family-owned 4th-generation commercial and institutional union HVAC contracting company located in Glenview that's been built on trust and dedication, serving the Chicagoland area since 1972. Contact R.J. Ullman Company for quality and quick turnaround commercial HVAC projects. Need a rooftop unit replaced? They pride themselves on being able to change out most units in just 1 day. Customized ductwork and fitting orders can be placed in the morning and arrive on the job site the very next day. Remember, their work is not complete until you're 100% satisfied. Go to rjullman.com. That's rjullmen.com.
In a world where financial landscapes can change rapidly, safeguarding your savings and retirement accounts is paramount. Direct Bullion USA is more than just the #1 rated gold bullion dealer in America. We're your trusted partner in navigating the uncertainties of hyperinflation and political upheaval around the world. Direct Bullion USA can provide you with the knowledge and resources to fortify your financial stability and protect what matters most. Call us now at 888-787-GOLD. Precious metals like gold and silver have been a safe haven investment for hundreds of years. Get started when you call Direct Bullion USA at 888-787-4653 and get your free gold investing starter kit today. All it takes is one call to 888-787-GOLD. Take control of your retirement and protect your future with Direct Bullion USA. Call 888-787-4653. That's 888-787-GOLD.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Former White House spokesman Sean Spicy is joining us at 8:08 to talk about the Virginia elections in November and whether or not they may be a bellwether for GOP's prospects in November of next year. That's at 8:08.
I really want to play that Melissa McCarthy SNL skit before him, but it's now 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
A meeting of the minds of Israel's enemies. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The leader of Lebanon's Hezbollah militants met today with top leaders of the Hamas and Islamic Jihad terror groups that Israel keeps hitting with airstrikes inside Gaza.
The death toll there rapidly rising to more than 5,700 people. We know that the factions inside Gaza, despite these ongoing airstrikes by the Israeli military, have maintained their capability 19 days into this conflict to fire on major population centers with long-range rockets. Earlier today, sirens were sounding in northern Israel, just north of the city of Haifa, Israel's third largest city.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst near the border with Gaza, where 2 million civilians caught in the crossfire have been rationing food. Fuel's in short supply. The World Health Organization reports half of Gaza's healthcare facilities have stopped functioning with no fuel for generators. We'll hear from President Biden later today. He has said humanitarian aid to Gaza is not going in fast enough. He'll take questions after meeting at the White House with Australia's Prime Minister, and this might come up.
There are growing safety concerns about U.S. forces serving all across the Middle East this morning. This after multiple attacks against U.S. forces serving both in Iraq and Syria. While these attacks, the U.S. believes, are being carried out by third-party militias, Iranian proxies, the Pentagon also believes that these attacks have Iran's fingerprints all over them. At least 24 service members have been injured in these attacks.
That's Fox's Mark Meredith at the White House. The House may vote again for Speaker today with Congressman Mike Johnson, the new and fourth Republican nominee.
We're going to restore your trust in what we do here. You're going to see a new form of government, and we are going to move this quickly.
Though it's not clear if Republicans are united this time. Former President Trump due back in court this morning in New York for his company's civil trial. The judge has already ruled the Trump Organization committed fraud. He just posted on Truth Social that the judge is very angry and very partisan and the trial is rigged. America's listening to Fox News.
8:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man is in custody after a police officer was shot during a traffic stop in Springfield. Illinois State Police clarifies this morning it was an Illinois State Police trooper who interacted with a suspect, 37-year-old Cristobal Santana of Chicago, believed to be wanted in connection with the recent Chicago homicide. Emotions are still high over plans for a migrant base camp in Brighton Park. Hundreds showed up last night for a community meeting. Alderwoman Julia Ramirez claims she had no choice but accept the temporary shelter.
That the city trucks had been working on the lot after the fact. I did not have aldermanic prerogative in this decision. I was not asked or given a vote.
Protesters have been gathering at the proposed site in an effort to try and block the base camp from being built. Illinois Democrats are joining with Republicans in looking to try and extend pro-family private school tax credit program called Invest in Kids. Parent Tracy Smith brought her twin children to the Capitol in Springfield Tuesday to urge for the measure's continuation.
It's okay to shift away some of the work.
We give tax credits to movies. Why can't we give tax credits to kids? We have millions of dollars that's being funded to house and home people. Why can't we not keep the doors of education open?
A former NFL player charged in connection with the death of his mother is set to appear in court today. Sergio Brown is expected to appear in court at the Cook County Courthouse in Maywood. The Bruins beat the Blackhawks at the UC last night 3-0. Bulls begin the regular NBA season tonight against OKC. The news, a service of the Fireplace and Chimney Authority. Call to schedule your appointment today, 630-279-8500, or visit their showrooms in Lisle and Elmhurst. 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Microsoft and Google's parent company Alphabet both reported mostly strong results for the recent quarter. Microsoft shares are higher, Alphabet shares are sliding. Both companies offer cloud computing to support artificial intelligence, though Google Cloud is growing at a slower pace. Honda and General Motors are scrapping plans to work together on developing affordable electric vehicles. They say it will be difficult to do as a business. In a statement, Honda says each company will work separately toward offering affordable models to the EV market. Mortgage rates have moved higher again. The Mortgage Bankers Association says the 30-year fixed average rose to 7.9% in the most recent reading. Demand for adjustable rate mortgages rose to the highest level in nearly a year. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Charles Equipment Energy Systems, TJ Stearns Financial Planning and Benefits, and by Aid for Women.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Be sure to schedule your health assessment with my friends at Low T Center. They offer the convenience of physician-monitored, self-inject, at-home testosterone treatments with an average payment of $150 a month cash pay, including labs and medication. If you don't live near a Low T Center or just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy shipping treatments directly to you. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. That's Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
You've heard me talk about my love of coffee over and over again. I'm here to tell you I have discovered one of the best brews I've ever tasted and a company that I cannot wait to support. I'm here to tell you about Bone Frog Coffee. The Bone Frog is a sacred symbol in the SEAL teams. It honors those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, their lives. Bone Frog was founded by Tim Crook Shank, a former Navy SEAL and 25-year Navy veteran. Bone Frog honors the fallen, those who gave everything for our freedoms and our American way of life, by giving 10% of all the proceeds to benefit many of the U.S. Navy SEAL foundations. Here's what I need you to do. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Get 10% off your first order. You will also get 15% off Bone Frog Coffee subscriptions. Just enter Liberty at checkout. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. That's bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Taste one of the best brews you ever tasted. 10% of the proceeds go to benefit the Navy SEALs. You'll feel good. It's an American company. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
Get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy right now at nearly 2 hours from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Things are slow in the express and in the locals, especially through the construction zone. It's an hour from downtown back out to the big airport. Ike inbound an hour 14 right now, 390 to the old post office. An accident on the outbound Ike between Costner and Mannheim. It's an hour all the way back out to Route 390. Stevenson inbound jamming up from the Tri-State into Lakeshore Drive. It's 53 minutes on that commute. 42 and on the Ryan 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays on the Reagan I-88 eastbound right at the southbound Tri-State. Things are slow on the Veterans Toll southbound 355 between Lake and Roosevelt. 8094 bad accident westbound near King Drive with 3 right lanes blocked. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Cloudy day today, periods of rain and drizzle this morning, a shower for the afternoon, the high 68, a shower in spots tonight, low 64, rain tomorrow, the high 73, showers Friday, the high at 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
62 at O'Hare, next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3. Brought to you by Pure Shale Financial Group at PureShaleFinancial.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Yesterday, yet another Trump lawyer pled out in the Fulton County Atlanta case. Jenna Ellis.
Yeah.
She was one of the more public-facing members of the Trump legal defense team. You often saw her at pressers with Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani.
And she even spoke at our Freedom Summit last year, remember? The morning speaker.
Yeah. Well, here was her elocution in court yesterday.
Thank you, Your Honor, for the opportunity to address the court. As an attorney who is also a Christian, I take my responsibilities as a lawyer very seriously, and I endeavor to be a person of sound moral and ethical character in all of my dealings. In the wake of the 2020 presidential election, I believed that challenging the results on behalf of President Trump should be pursued in a just and legal way. I endeavored to represent my client to the best of my ability. I relied on others, including lawyers with many more years of experience than I, to provide me with true and reliable information, especially since my role involved speaking to the media and to legislators in various states. What I did not do, but should have done, Your Honor, was to make sure that the facts the other lawyers alleged to be true were in fact true. In the frenetic pace of attempting to raise challenges to the election in several states, including Georgia, I failed to do my due diligence. I believe in and I value election integrity. If I knew then what I know now, I would have declined to represent Donald Trump in these post-election challenges. I look back on this whole experience with deep remorse. For those failures of mine, Your Honor, I have taken responsibility already before the Colorado bar who censured me, and I now take responsibility before this court and apologize to the people of Georgia. Thank you.
In related stories with respect to the Trump trials, you have Mark Meadows getting an immunity deal in the Jan 6 case being prosecuted by Jack Smith. So ostensibly he plans to testify against Trump, or certainly Jack Smith thinks he has valuable information that the jury should hear in that case that would implicate Trump, one would suspect. But what are the political implications of elocutions and plea deals from Powell and Cheeseborough and Ellis and Meadows, for example? For more on this and other political matters, domestic and international, we're pleased to be joined again by Sean Spicer. Of course, he's a former White House spokesman, and he's the host of the Sean Spicer Show on Apple Podcasts. Sean, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Always good to be with you, Dan, Amy. Good to be with you both.
Great to have you back. What's your handle on where things stand with the Trump trials and these plea deals?
So it's an interesting question, and I wish I'm sort of torn on several levels. One on the personal level. I've been through a bunch of these court cases since Trump was in office, and I understand that some of these people have to do what they do because they get jammed by the Department of Justice or a local DA, and that the legal fees, et cetera, can mount. And you know, in Jenna's case, in Sidney Powell's case, they say, hey, you're facing 7, 8, 10, whatever felonies, but if you plead to this one misdemeanor, it's a fine and you get off.
Right.
So I get why they do the things they do. But I think what this really comes down to, and to the point of your question, what does it matter? I don't know, and I think we'll have to see. In other words, are they using Jenna Ellis to get to Rudy, then Rudy to get to Trump, or something like that? Because I don't know. In the case of Sidney, she was representing the president as his lawyer. There still is a maintenance of attorney-client privilege. So what does what do they get from her? I don't know. But at the end of the day, even Meadows, who apparently is testifying now, wrote in his own book that Trump never believed that the election was fair. He believed it was rigged. He wrote this in his book. So I have a hard time believing that you can turn around and say, okay, well, now that we pressed you with a bunch of fines and charges, what do you say now? And he says, I say different. Well, hey, if you're the Trump team, you go, well, this is what he wrote in his book. This is what he said, and he can never – and even according to the reports this morning from his own attorney, there's no specific instance in which he ever says, yeah, Trump said the following. This is all his speculation. I believe he knew. I believe. Well, that's not how we convict people in America. You don't get to say, I think that you're guilty. So, look, I don't know how this ends, but I'll tell you, I think no matter if you're the biggest Trump hater in the world, if you look at what they're really going after him on in a lot of these cases, you can say he's a bad person, you can say he's unethical, but he hasn't broken a law as far as I can tell. And that's the line that we have to be concerned with as Americans, is there are people that you may not like, there are people that you may despise or that you may think otherwise, and in some cases they may do nefarious things, but there's a line between that and actually breaking a law.
Do you think Meadows is going to plead out too?
Well, they gave him immunity, so I assume that he's got a deal. I mean, I would assume you don't take an immunity deal unless you have a deal. But again, I don't have all the particulars in that, so I don't know what they had on him. But I would assume that you wouldn't go that far unless you're getting something in exchange.
Well, and this too, I mean, we don't exactly know whose legal fees are being paid by Trump and whose aren't, but Jack Smith is pressing to call it obstruction, the paying of some people's legal fees, and of course, those nobody has to disclose that. So some may be, and they may be pleading out even if Trump has been picking up their legal fees because he spent something like $40 million since January of 2022 on 60 different law firms. So a lot of people are being represented and their legal fees are being taken care of, at least so far. But here's the other thing, too, to your point. Jenna and Sydney and Cheeseburger, they're still, they're pleading out, as you say, path of least resistance, because even if Trump believed that the arguments that were advanced in court filings to seeking a recount of this batch of votes or in this particular district, even if he believed that they were long shots or maybe there wasn't a preponderance of the evidence to support their claim, and he said, "Oh, well, let's take a flyer. Let's see if we can get it anyway." Filing frivolous complaints in courts of law is not criminal. In point of fact, what usually happens if it is so beyond the pale in terms of the frivolity of a particular complaint, the attorney faces sanctions, but never the client. And so they have to concoct this ridiculous racketeering scheme that was, I guess, memorialized by a conversation that you have to, interpret in the light least favorable to Trump. And even in that light, there's still nothing illegal about petitioning a Secretary of State. We think this and you think that, and we want you to do this. It wasn't we want you to do this or I'm going to commit a violent act against you. It was we want you to do this because we think it's right. Even if you didn't think it's right, that's not illegal.
Well, I mean, and that's the point I'm making, Dan, right, is that if you think about it, I've been involved in two close elections in my career, one in 1994 and one in 2000. And in every case, you petition the government. I mean, look at what they're charging. They're saying that yes, you're right. He called the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, and said, I need to find this many votes because I think that there's this many that have been fraudulently cast. He didn't say go out and manufacture the votes. He didn't say go out and change the vote. He said, I believe that there are people that voted illegally, that this process wasn't followed, and therefore all I need to find are this many. You don't need, I mean, that, again, this isn't about whether you like Trump or not. Look at what he said in context and then go back and put a blinder on that and say, what did Al Gore say after 2000? What did, I'm trying to think, there's a race in South Dakota before when John Thune ran against Tom Daschle. There was all of these races. There was one in Colorado where, like I said, I've been involved in two at the House side. It's you go out, you have teams that go out and say, okay, well, we've got evidence that, there are 5 people that shouldn't have voted that voted. We've got, we believe this clerk kept the voting machines open 2 hours longer than they were legally allowed to be, whatever. But that's why, nothing that Trump did was outside the system. They keep saying he was going to do this and he might have done that. Well, okay, that's great. That's all hypothetical. But at the end of the day, what did he do? He followed the system. He filed motions. He petitioned his government. He asked for redress. All of that is expressly allowed in our Constitution and under our system of government. So you may not like it. Not you, obviously,
Yeah,
but I'm
right.
saying that
Yeah,
one may not like it. But what did he do? Because your point is exactly right. It wasn't like he said, okay, I'm not going to allow the transfer of power. I am going to change the vote. Yes, under the Constitution. Look at there was a story yesterday that said that no labels, or at least it wasn't that they said it. It was an accusation of a group called Third Way, a left-leaning group that said that the group No Labels that is supposedly putting up a potential unity ticket, that they want to spoil the election and throw it to the House of Representatives, right? And where they could then play a role. Well, wait a second. Isn't that election interference? Isn't that whatever? No, that's actually how the Constitution spells out how you would control a contested election. Would that be chaotic? Absolutely. But the point is that what they're saying is, we don't like it when we claim that we win, that you petition us, that you seek redress. I'm sorry. They've done it. They actually went to the floor in almost every year a Republican won. I can't actually think if they haven't done it ever, but in 2000 and 2004, Democrats went to the floor of the House of Representatives, and oh my gosh, I'm blanking.
Well, they claim the elections were
and they
illegitimate.
tried to block tried to block the electors. So they've done all these tactics. They just don't like that Trump did it, and that's the reality. And so I think that thou protest too much. And at the end of the day, if you go through every one of these cases, they've jumped the shark. They've sort of been like, we're just going to play on the fact. I as a non-lawyer, I have a bunch of lawyers on my show all the time, and I'll say to them, okay, I don't understand how, in the case of Alvin Bragg, if the statute of limitations has expired, how do you charge them? And they'll look at me and say, I don't know, because that's the law. And so I think that what you've seen is people like Letitia James, Fannie Willis in Georgia, Letitia obviously in New York, but basically say, you know what, let's take a gamble. Enough judges and enough people hate Trump so much. Let's just see what we can do.
Well, it's funny, too, because that's exactly what they're accusing Trump of doing, right? That's the great irony of it. He took a flyer by accessing the courts of law. His arguments were rejected, and that's that. But they're in the position of being a prosecutor, and so they're particularly in the jurisdictions we're talking about, they're given wide deference from judges, and then they start to get plea agreements that to the untrained eye, well, there's got to be a there because why would these people plead out? And there's all kinds of reasons, as we've discussed, why they would. So as per usual, it is righteous when they do it, and it is criminal when somebody else does it.
Well, and Dan, the thing is that it's beyond this. You think about when BLM protested, it was mostly peaceful and it was allowed, and you didn't have to have a mask, and you didn't have to, because it was their side. Every time there's an instance of outrage, of political discourse going, when Chuck Schumer said that we should surround the judges, I'm coming for you, Gorsuch, I'm coming for you. When Sheila Jackson Lee said that we should surround, Maxine Waters said that we should surround Trump appointees and make them feel the pain for being, but that's okay. Right, so that's the thing, is that these guys, when they cross the line, when they go over the top, when they call for violence, well, it's different. And that's the thing that it consistently amazes me, how the Democrats and the left have no problem with the hypocrisy that they preach.
I wanted to get your take, because you wrote a piece about it in The Hill on the upcoming Virginia elections next month, and potentially all these off presidential year elections in places like Virginia, New Jersey. Sometimes they're canaries in the coal mine of what will happen in the subsequent year, what the sort of the issues are, and the attitudes of a cross section of voters. And so You specifically zeroed in on the issue of abortion, and at least in Virginia, that the Democrats are trying to get one more election cycle out of Dobbs.
So it's not one, and here's the thing. I think that this election is coming to, Chicago, to all of Illinois, to the rest of the country, because they are test driving this message. Every ad that a Democrat is running in the Commonwealth of Virginia starts with, MAGA extremists are looking to take away your right to choose. It is a cookie cutter ad being run from everyone who is running from sheriff all the way up to state senate, which is the highest that's on the ballot right now. And and my point is this, and it starts in Virginia, but it goes throughout the country, is Republicans have decided to take a very defensive fetal position-esque, posture on this. We are sitting back saying, well, we're only this guilty on the issue. We only want to ban it up to 15 weeks or whatever. And my point is, why are we not putting Democrats on defense? In the Commonwealth of Virginia, our last governor, Ralph Northam, who is a doctor, literally said on radio, it's on audio tape on WTOP here in the Northern Virginia area, he said, we wait for the baby to come out, we resuscitate it if necessary, and then we let the parents make a decision about what to do. That's called murder. And I don't know why we are sitting back not making every Democrat answer for that position. Instead, we are trying to have a discussion amongst ourselves about what defensive posture is best, instead of going on offense and making Democrats answer for their own position. And there's a state senator, Tran, here in Virginia, that actually sponsored the legislation. And I'm like, this isn't just one errant comment. They acted on it. Why are we not putting them on defense? And yet they're all running around running these defensive ads saying, I only want to ban abortion up until the 15th week. It's like, dude, your opponent should be answering for the fact that their standard bearer wanted to kill a baby.
Yeah, I completely agree that Republicans need to be not spectators here. We need to be messaging on these issues. I would say the whole parental authority umbrella, if you will, the life issue, the gender identity mutilation issue, and parents being purposely left in the dark with respect to minor children, school choice. It should be all sort of being messaged now, so that in states that are swing states that are not going to be as easy to pick up as Louisiana or maybe even Kentucky, that we are winning the arguments now in advance of the 90-day sprint come next fall. And I agree with you. I don't think Republicans are doing enough to make the ground fertile for their arguments on these cultural issues.
Exactly. But the point is that we need to be on offense, not defense, on all these issues. And in Virginia, we had the great playbook. Glenn Youngkin, our governor, did a great job when he ran in 2021 of taking a cultural issue, education, when Terry McAuliffe made this massive gaffe about saying that parents shouldn't be involved, and jammed it down every Democrat's throat. Well, we should be doing the same thing now on abortion and saying, here's your position instead. When we know we have a winning playbook, we're taking a totally different view. And I think it's ridiculous.
Sean Spicer, former White House spokesman, host of the Sean Spicer Show on Apple Podcasts. Sean, thanks as always.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
It seems like every day economic news gets more and more sketchy. We're already seeing huge volatility in the stock market and a rapid erosion in the value of the U.S. dollar. But this time, an economic downturn could happen faster than you ever imagined. Direct Bullion USA, America's #1 precious metals company, wants to let you know that now is the time to take actions that may help protect and secure your portfolio with physical precious metals. Want to help protect your hard-earned money before it's too late? Call Direct Bullion USA at 888-787-GOLD and get your free gold investor kit today. Don't wait. Call Direct Bullion USA now at 888-787-4653 and get your free gold and silver survival kit. With all of the uncertainty of a world gone mad, you can take control of your financial future with one call to Direct Bullion USA. Call us now at 888-787-4653. That's 888-787-GOLD.
Guys, a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and be sure to visit a provider you can trust. I trust my friends at Low T Center, where I've been getting my levels checked the past 8 years. At Low T Center, they make it easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back in about 25 minutes. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, noticed weight gain, and loss of muscle mass, these could be signs of low testosterone levels. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office where you have a long wait. It's concierge medicine exclusively for men. They have affordable and convenient options for treatment, including physician-monitored self-inject treatments that ship directly to you each month, so there's no need to drive to the center for weekly visits. And right now, Low T Center is only $25 to get your T-level tested, with results back in about 25 minutes. So what are you waiting for? Log on now to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Proft sent you when you log on to lowtcenter.com and make that appointment. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Hi, Dr. Ron Paul here. The Fed creates and pops bubbles using interest rate manipulation. Why put the value of your IRA or 401k at their mercy? This is why I recommend a physical gold IRA from...
I can continue to do the things that I enjoy doing with all of them. I would recommend Balance of Nature. It's so easy to do every day. I feel great, and who doesn't want to feel great?
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Speaking of those cultural issues, the Hampshire High School District has postponed a LGBTQ Two-Spirit +++ spring musical. Right or wrong at 8:38.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, 62 degrees at 8:32. Israeli military forces at this hour are ramping up bombing in the southern Gaza area as world leaders call for a halt in fighting to try to allow some aid to come to the Palestinian enclave. The U.S. is warning Iran today against escalating the war between Israel and the Palestinian terror group Hamas.
Iran has supported Hamas and other groups that continue to carry out attacks on Israel. Iranian leaders have routinely threatened to wipe Israel off the map.
While addressing the UN Security Council, Secretary of State Blinken saying the U.S. will respond decisively. President Biden's name is not going to be appearing on the ballot for next year's New Hampshire primary. The move was expected by some in the Democrat Party, trying to push the Granite State into giving up its first-in-the-nation primary status. Hurricane Otis strengthened from a tropical storm to a dangerous Category 5 storm in around 12 hours. It's pounded Mexico's southern coast, made landfall near Acapulco. Louisiana Representative Mike Johnson is the new Republican nominee for Speaker of the House. Johnson must now secure 217 votes on the House floor to win the Speaker's gavel. A man is in custody after a police officer was shot during a traffic stop in Springfield Tuesday night. Illinois State Police clarify it was an ISP trooper who interacted with a suspect, 37-year-old Cristobal Santana of Chicago, believed to be wanted in connection with a homicide recently occurring in the city. Emotions are still high over plans for a migrant base camp at Brighton Park. Hundreds showed up last night for a community meeting. A few expressed a desire to provide some support for asylum seekers. Many others spoke out against the plan at Kelly High School. Mayor Brandon Johnson wants to split up the proposed new contract with Chicago Police Union into two city council votes. One, the economic side, roughly 20% raise for officers. The other is that most serious disciplinary cases would be heard privately by an independent third party rather than publicly before the Chicago Police Board. And we're sad to announce the death of a classic 1970s detective And policeman Richard Roundtree, dead at the age of 81, best known for his portrayal of the iconic Detective John Shaft in the 1971 action thriller Shaft, as well as its 2 sequels and the television series. Deadline reporting Roundtree died after a brief battle with pancreatic cancer at the age of 81. Boston over the Blackhawks last night, 3-0. Hawks head coach Luke Richardson says Peter Mrazek had a valiant effort in goal, making 40 saves. The team needs to play tighter around the net. Bulls right now with a game against Oklahoma City. Preps are underway for the NBA season opener tonight. The news, a service of Tom Mirabali Insurance, an independent Blue Cross and Blue Shield agent with access to major medical carriers. Let Tom help you save money today on your premiums. Get started at healthplanchicago.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Breakthrough Ideas, Linex of Roselle, and by the law offices of Stephen Leahy.
Tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman.
Plan ahead for the dangerous situation so that they don't affect you and you can weather the storm and just sail right over it.
Call Steve for your own free consultation today at 833-945-7283, 833-945-7283, and be sure to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scan, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business powered by Mirabali Insurance, Sunday evenings at 6.
It's 8:39. Let's get an update on the roads, a service of Blindster.com. At Blindster, they offer over 50 different blind shades and shutters at low prices. Order 10 free samples of any product before you buy at Blindster.com. 8094 solid traffic westbound between Martin Luther King Drive and Burr. Due to an accident, 3 right lanes remain blocked. 9 vehicles involved, 6 cars and 3 semis being shoved off to the side. Veterans Memorial Toll stop and go northbound right at Army Trail Toll all the way up to 290. Tri-State northbound jamming up between LaGrange Road and the westbound 88 exit ramp. We're also watching delays on the Bishop Ford due to a stalled vehicle inbound between the Stony Island feeder and the Ryan merge. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, cloudy and much cooler today. Rain and drizzle throughout the day. High 68. 62 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Let's see. We're right in the middle of Asexual Awareness Week.
What color should I be wearing?
I'm not sure I can connect the colors to the special weeks and days. Tomorrow, though, make sure mark your calendars if you're unaware, is Intersex Awareness Day.
I thought it was Donut Day.
Then we get a little 5-day break, and then the entire month of November is Trans Awareness Month.
Are you kidding me? When did they pop
no,
that
I'm not
one
kidding
in?
you.
Wow. Okay.
No, I'm not kidding you. So, against that backdrop, Asexual Awareness Week, disturbing story out of Hampshire, there in Kane County. Yeah. The district superintendent is reconsidering a decision to postpone Hampshire High School's spring musical, The Prom. Students are outraged about the decision to postpone it in the first place. Obviously they are. Ainsley Bryson and her girlfriend Belle Eckert said this year's musical isn't a political agenda, but a representative reality. The plot of The Prom is like literally what I live every day with like my girlfriend. Yeah, that sounds like somebody in high school these days.
Oh my God. Okay.
Uh-huh. Should the prom go on? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Why did they postpone it?
I was just going to ask that. Yes, why?
A great question.
Thank you.
The decision by the superintendent, Susan Harkin, to postpone was due to the belief that the community, quote, may not be prepared to fully support this performance without risking potential harassment, bullying, and violence targeting our LGBTQ plus students.
Well, if they were so worried about that, why did they agree to and already start practicing to do that in the first place?
How about the commentary from your school superintendent on your families in that school district? What's the commentary there? Yeah, the families in our school district are a bunch of hateful, intolerant rubes, and so we're a little bit afraid of having to put this show on. By the way, the Like My Girlfriend couple, they were voted homecoming queen. Yeah. So the students are apparently on board.
Yeah. They clearly don't have a problem with it.
Do you have a problem with it? I do.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Let me tell you about The Prom in case you're not up on mediocre plays that didn't do very well on Broadway, even with the star power of James Corden, Meryl Streep, and Nicole Kidman.
Okay.
I think they got nominated for a Tony Award for Best Score or something like that.
The Prom's about an LGBTQ plus girl, right? But what's the real story?
Well, it is. A girl in Indiana plans to bring a girlfriend to their senior prom and wear a tuxedo, and the school, this is in Indiana where it takes place, and then they're banned from attending by the school board. The challenge the board's decision. The board decided to cancel the year's prom altogether. Then one of the girls in the ACLU sued her school district, and so on and so blah blah blah. So you get the gist of it. It's not political though. No, of course not.
That would never happen. They would never cancel a prom because same-sex couple wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
And girls go with girls all the time now, and a group of boys go all the time.
Yeah, so this is an actual story from 2010 out of Mississippi, but I believe the play takes place in Indiana. The sort of literary license that was taken with it. Regardless, hardly the point. First of all, I think it's interesting where the commentary on the postponement. The families in my school district aren't
ready for something like that.
Worse than that, she's afraid. She said, the superintendent, she's afraid for the safety of her students. So they're not just intolerant; they're violent. They're violent in furtherance of their intolerance. If they see a play that with this plot, and they see LGBTQ plus students, that bullying and violence will ensue. It's an interesting commentary on your families. Number one. Number two, that the response has been, to the postponement has been outrage from the people that this is supposed to protect, because apparently they don't feel unsafe, which is a better commentary on the parents than the superintendent is providing. But in addition to that, is there any platforming of parents that have a problem with it, or maybe there's no parents that have a problem with it in Hampshire? I don't know.
Well, one former student, Felicia Lascato, she graduated from Hampshire High School last year, and she played the gay character in the musical The Addams Family. And she said, I didn't receive any hate mail. I didn't receive any death threats. Why are they doing this?
Well, because they have this belief about, their small town families that the school district ostensibly it was built to serve. So that's one issue.
Make a problem where there's not a problem.
The other, well, I have a problem.
Okay,
if I was a parent there, I'd make a problem. And the problem is the choice of the prom.
Okay.
As the spring musical. As I said, it's a play. It's a mediocre play that did mediocre business, even though it is, it strikes all the right political notes, and it had the star power on Broadway, and yeah, it got a little bit of a tour for a couple of years and so on and so forth. But it's not like it was Cats. Not that that's not a mediocre play, too.
Well, but it's got staying power.
Oh, of course.
Meow, meow.
But this is the same conversation we have about books in school or in school libraries. I'm not saying ban the prom. You can't do your version of the prom. What I am saying is this is high art for high school. This is challenging students. This sort of cheap, modern, paint by numbers musical or play. Of all the great playwrights,
right?
Of all the great plays, starting with Shakespeare, and moving forward into the great American playwrights of the 20th century. The Arthur Millers and the David Mamets and so many others, the Tennessee Williamses. This is what you choose, but it's not political. Of course it's political. Of course it's political. And it's interesting to me that probably there are some parents in Hampshire, in that Hampshire high school district, that are offended by what the superintendent said. Probably there are some that have the same position I have. It's not about banning anything. It's about you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice about curriculum and what's going to be included. And necessarily that's going to exclude some things. You have to make a choice about the shows that you put on. And that necessarily means that something's going to be excluded. So do you want them to perform The Tempest, or do you want them to perform The Prom?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636, type in DA on our text line. It's Dan and Amy. If you don't like the play, then don't go attend it.
That's an idiotic statement. Unsurprising, but idiotic. Nobody has to go attend it.
No one has to.
I'm not suggesting anybody does. And as I said before, I'm not suggesting that it be banished or something. No one can do a rendition of The Prom because I don't like it. No. Answer my question. That is the highest, best use of the limited time you have for the presentation and challenging students with artistic sensibilities. This is the best work. Because when you comes to your kids' education, do you want them challenged by some of the best material in every subject, some of the best authors in English literature, some of the best historians in American history, some of the best playwrights in the theater? Or do you want them to just do contrived political pap so that you can check that box? That's the question. Mike in Milwaukee.
Hey, Dan and Amy, I think we can synopsize this pretty quickly. Why don't we have Footloose and everybody cut? The same pap, just recycled.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for the call, Mike. Yeah, I mean, it's so banal, so stereotypical. I mean, it's just so droll, frankly, uninteresting. But hey, I don't know. I just saw it, thought it was interesting. I mean, it's like the commentary on migrants from the great defenders of the migrants. You got a curfew, and we got to wand you before you go into gimme dat tent city.
And welcome home, by the way. Yeah. Cot number 3 on the right.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Follow our rules, and if you work the third shift, I'm sorry, you can't sleep here. Because we shut the doors at 11. And we also have unarmed security guards out here. That's going to work well with 2,000 people.
My brain hurts with this stuff because, I don't know, people just, there are people who are shameless, and there are people who are beset by cowardice. And it's just such a bad combination when it comes to K through 12 education. Or anything else, really. Another story, just in the LGBTQ2S++ in this Asexual Awareness Week. Don't forget, again, Intersex Day is tomorrow. Intersex Awareness Day. Mm-hmm.
What are you going to wear?
A mediocre cross-country runner at a high school in Belfast, Maine, is now the fastest sophomore girl at the school. Actually, I guess in the conference. While representing Coast Waldorf High School in Freeport, this dude, Soren Stark Chessa, last year came in 25th place, where he ran as a freshman boy, and 14th place at another regional. But since he identified as a female, things are going a lot better. At the end of September, he took 5th place at the Festival of Champions in the female category, a time that would have ranked him 162nd if he had raced in the male category. 1 week later, he took 1st place, beating the fastest female runner by nearly 2 minutes. October 21, Stark Chessa seized the title of fastest sophomore girl at a regional high school cross-country championship, completing the 3.1-mile course more than 80 seconds faster than his female competitors.
And that's fair. And that's equality.
Yeah. Right.
Eventually, women's sports is going to be gone. It's the beginning of the end of women's sports.
Well, it won't be gone. It's just you won't have women winning the event.
Reimagined, right, Dan?
No, you just won't have women winning the events anymore.
Oh, yeah.
That's all.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what I say. I mean, combine the WNBA.
Just forget about our competitive nature. That's all right. We'll just take a back seat. It's okay. Mm-hmm.
And this is all under the umbrella, as we were talking about with Spicy, all under the umbrella of parents' rights, all under the umbrella of, do you respect and demand respect for the parental authority that you have over your children? Do you want to continue underwriting high schools like this one in Maine, high schools like that one in Hampshire? I mean, it's fine if you do, I suppose, and the degradation of the culture will continue unobstructed, and you'll be surprised at how ill-equipped for the real world your kids are. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Did you know most vitamin supplements have a warning label on the back? That's because without the synergy of thousands of nutrients working together that are found naturally in whole fruits and vegetables, vitamins are not balanced. This is why Balance of Nature only uses whole fruits and vegetables, no isolates or synthetic vitamins of any kind. We take a variety of 31 of the highest quality fruits and vegetables and remove the water without changing the rich chemistry. It's then ground to a powder, blended to perfection, and encapsulated, preserving the nutrients and making it easy to get the fruits and vegetables you need. So even though Balance of Nature comes in a capsule and looks like a vitamin, it's very different. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is good news, maybe exactly when you need it to. Right now, switching to MediShare can save you even more than usual, on top of what you'll save each month by becoming a member of MediShare. So many people are looking for a healthcare solution right now, especially given how inflation is affecting us. And MediShare is the affordable, reliable alternative to health insurance. The typical family saves about $500 a month. You might save even more. And MediShare is a Christian community that's been sharing each other's healthcare costs for 30 years now, and they're making it easier than ever. Apply by October 31st, and you can save an additional $150 on your first month. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just tell them the promo code SHARE to get your additional savings. Maybe now is the time to make the switch, like more than 400,000 people already have, and start saving. Here it is. It's 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE. 844-47-BIBLE.
Some save money for one big dream vacation. I take the kids camping twice a year.
For me, what's most important is sharing with my community members in need.
My financial goals? Expect the unexpected and plan accordingly.
At Thrivent, we believe money is a tool, not a goal. Driven by a higher purpose at our core for more than 100 years, we offer expert financial advice that starts with what's important to you. Visit Thrivent.com to learn more.
Donald Trump Jr. is coming to Chicagoland on Friday, October 27th. McHenry County GoPack is hosting this exclusive event in Addison. But space is extremely limited, and RSVPs will be accommodated on a first-come, first-served basis. To secure your tickets, go to countyconservatives.com. Meet President Trump's most trusted surrogate, his oldest son, and conservative activist and businessman. Learn the latest on President Trump's campaign, the deep state's plans to take him down, and how President Trump wants you to participate in the rules of engagement to take back the White House. This is an event that you don't want to miss. The first 300 ticket holders will also receive a copy of the best-selling book, Letters to Trump. So don't wait to get your tickets to see Donald Trump Jr. in Chicagoland on October 27th. Go to countyconservatives.com. That's countyconservatives.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Time has come to clear out of here. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy, our morning zoo crew, and thank you to everyone who listens and participates. We really appreciate you, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now, into the newsroom we go for news here at home and around the world. The one and only Mike Scott.
Residents blast a controversial migrant base camp in Brighton Park.